You're sitting at the ranking table brought to you by For the Sake of Heaviness. My name is Mercyful Mike. And as always, I've got my compadres sitting at the table with me. We've got Mr. John Gallo. We've got Eric Sexton-Dorsett, Mr. Darin McCloskey, and my partner in crime, Mr. Butch Balich.
Hello.
Hello.
Yo.
Hello.
Hola. Hola.
What up, rockers?
Hello. What's up?
If you've been tuning
Gentlemen's.
in, we've been diving into the 80s, but today we're going to mark a 40-year anniversary and we're jumping back into 1996.
The future.
Back to the future.
What a year.
Crazy year. A lot of good releases. We're out of the 80s. We're sort of coming out of the grunge movement, but there's some really good music that's going on. So today, our 5 albums that we're all going to go around and rank. We've got Motorhead's Overnight Sensation, Anathema's Eternity, Cradle of Filth, Dusk in Her Embrace, Cannibal Corpse's Vile, and from Opeth, Morningrise. All right, I'm just going to go as I see them on the screen here. So, Mr. John Gallo, you get to go first today.
Hello. So, my 5th pick for today. I guess I'm going to have to pick. I was actually undecided. But I think I finally nailed it down to Cradle of Filth, Dusk in Her Embrace. Here's the CD. I actually didn't have this one back in the day. This is the album I first heard about them because they were like Relapse had a Resound magazine. I remember they had a big interview in there, like a big review about the album, and it was like in Metal Maniacs. I mean, this was really what blew up Cradle of Filth, right? I mean, I ended up getting Principle of Evil Made Flesh based on this interview because I was like, oh, I'll start with the first one, whatever.
Sure.
Which I didn't really even like that much. It's kind of like a different style. It's like more death metal, I guess, or something. But yeah, it's this album. So when I read about this, it's like, oh, this is like very Maiden-esque, you know? And I guess I assumed it would be in a similar realm, which I also had read in a review of Ancient, the Canian Chronicles at the time, which had a very similar type description. It came out the same year, and it seemed like, oh, bands are kind of influenced by either like they have classical aspects, they got dual guitar harmonies going on, but it's like black metal, so maybe it's. I wasn't really into black metal. I had like Venom maybe at the time, like early stuff, but I didn't really delve into it yet. So that was the selling point for me, was hearing about that it had classical or traditional, especially just Maiden aspects to the band. And but yeah, so this album I do like a lot. I just couldn't rank it higher. It's one of my, it's not, I wouldn't say it's my least favorite Cradle of Filth, but I kind of prefer the production on Cruelty a little bit more.
Sure.
I feel like the guitars stood out a little bit more on that one. I feel like the guitars are really good on this album, but they almost seem a little bit more buried. Does that make sense?
Yep. Sure. I go along with that too.
Yeah, and I do like Midian a lot, and I know that's where they had the big shift in members, you know, when the older guys came back, and then you could really hear the guitars. But yeah, so this album, yeah, I like the atmosphere in a lot of the songs. Actually, the keyboard parts, like the intro part of the first song, which is Humana Inspired to Nightmare, it kind of reminds me of like, I guess this would be more of my generation, but I grew up playing like, I was still kind of like playing video games like N64 and PlayStation, so it reminds me of like Castlevania intro music a little bit, and especially the synthesizers they were using at the time. It's very similar, which I think is awesome. It's basically dungeon synth, you know. That's what kids call it now. What, you know, Mortis does and all that. Let's see, Funeral in Carpathia I liked a lot. Malice Through the Looking Glass is a killer song. Dusk in Her Embrace is a killer song. I liked Haunted Shores. I actually didn't realize that Kronos was on that one, so that was a cool surprise. Overall, I think I really like the composition. It's almost classical, and like also at the same time, maybe like within a few months later, a year later, Emperor put out To the Welkin at Dusk or whatever, Anthems to the Welkin at Dusk. And I don't know if they had any inspiration in the title, but they went total full on neoclassical black metal. And I could tell that like maybe Cradle of Filth maybe raised a bar in that level of like compositional aspects in black metal at the time, because you know most of the stuff was coming out of Norway, And what else was coming out of England at, besides Cradle Filth, like Hecate's Enthroned, or I don't know, like what else was around then,
Nothing that was
besides the
getting the
first wave?
attention that everybody in Norway was. So, Cradle of
Yeah, it
Filth
was up.
kind of came to the forefront almost unexpectedly.
Yeah, and in '94, I think they had Emperor tour over there, and they did a tour together and all that. But let me see. As someone else will probably mention, Gian Pyrrhus, he was in Solstice. He was on
Yeah.
Lamentations and
Mhm.
Halcyon or whatever. I liked his aspect to the band. I think that he adds a certain vibe to it, almost the way that like Eerie Von adds a vibe to anything with Danzig. I don't know how I know he's a bassist, but somehow like just the creative aspect.
Mhm.
Even though Stewart's probably a big writer in the band at that point. Um, and what else? They had a lot of members. They have like 6 people, and Nick Barker was in it still at this
Monster
point.
drummer.
Yeah, great drummer. Looked like Uncle Fester in there, which is probably how I look now. But who else is there?
Uncle Fester never had a goatee and mustache, John.
Okay, I guess
Yeah.
I'll have to work. I guess if I shave it, then I'll be the Uncle Fester
You
of the
need about
modern
a
day.
century less sunlight.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm pretty pale. I don't go out in the sun that much, but
Yeah.
anyways, who else? Robin Graves. He had kind of continued on. He was one of the original guys, wasn't he? The bassist.
Yeah.
And blah 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 blah. Who else is there? Stuart Damien is the keyboard player. So what did he go on to do? Did he stick around much for? He wasn't on Cruelty, was he?
No, no, I'm not. I don't recall who was on Cruelty for that, but yeah, he. I don't think he went on. He might have come back at one point, but yeah, things
Yeah,
for that band got real fuzzy after Cruelty and Midian. Yeah.
yeah. And then yeah, it's a really cool album. It's you know what? It's funny because after I was like I had my opinion on this, like where I was gonna put it, and then I did start looking up some live videos of the songs during that time, and I was like, man, they sound even better live. Like they sound really good live. And did you see them around that time, Mike?
I
Or did,
actually I meant to leave it here to show you, but I was actually at their very first North American show ever, at Milwaukee Metal Fest in '97, and
oh,
they came out right before Venom, and were just they just blew me away. I was heavily into Cradle of Filth at that time and black metal in
yeah,
general, but I can save it for when I do my pick or.
yeah. Did
But yeah,
Opeth play
and
that?
they were
Yeah.
incredible. They were absolutely incredible.
Wow. Did Opeth play that same one?
They weren't on that one, no.
Okay, I know that they came over kind of early too, like for one show, but
Yeah, I can't
yeah,
remember what 90 because I saw Opeth a bunch of times, but I never saw them at the Milwaukee
yeah.
Metal Fest, like
I think
that.
you saw them all the times I did, like when they first came over with Blackwater Park, and because they had a
Yeah, they
few albums that they didn't even come over for. Like I don't
no,
think they even came over till Blackwater, but
no, I
that's
don't
a
think so. I think there was a
yeah.
failed tour or American tour for My Arms Your Hearse, but I could be totally
Oh,
wrong.
yeah, maybe you're right. Unless they came over for that for something,
Yeah,
I
I
don't
think
know.
the big one for them is when they went on that kind of like that co-headliner with Nevermore. That
Yeah,
one
that's the
that one got
first
around
one.
quite a bit. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw them twice on that one. I had to go to Syracuse and Toronto, which is probably going to show you where my pick is going to fit on the ranking table. But I'm actually going to surprise you with something I think.
Foreshadowing.
I will surprise you though. It's not going to be what you think. So,
Okay.
all right. So I guess I'm done. I don't know. I don't have anything else too detailed to say. I mean,
All right.
who's the producer on it? I don't know. We don't have to go into producer aspects, do we? I don't know. He
Encyclopedia John Gallo.
he produced it Lizzie, I think, and a bunch of other poppier things, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong, but
Yeah,
either way,
I didn't write that down. Anyway.
yeah, I don't even know why. I just remembered something I read, and nothing else is sticking out in my brain right now. I think some vile stuff is sticking out in my brain right now, so I'm going to save that for later.
Cool. All right, Eric, you're the next one.
Number 5. Uh, this was a real shocker for me. 1996, I kind of developed a theme in my own mind, which was like a year of transitions. There was, changes happening. An obvious one for me was Cannibal Corpse, but then there was, the just bands kind of, in my mind, kind of figuring out what they're doing, where they're going with their sounds. And I could be completely reading it wrong. But so my number 5 was Opeth. And that surprised the shit out of me. In fact, I was telling my wife that my number 5 was one I couldn't believe, and I couldn't remember for anything what it was. I'm like, I don't remember who the band was, but it just drove me nuts that it was number 5, and I can't remember who it was. I got to go back and look at our Facebook group because I just couldn't put it in my head. And then I went, look, fuck, it was Opeth. So I got to go back and listen to it again, and it was boring to me. Like, it just wasn't like, I got into Opeth at Blackwater Park and I worship that album. And I don't know where if I just didn't clue into this one before or whatever. And I mean, somewhere along the lines, you guys are going to educate me on what it is I'm missing. But like, I just felt like, I hate to use the word boring. It just wasn't, at times it hurt me on like a visceral level. Like, it was like, why is this not good? And like,
wow, this is like one of my favorite ones too. Wow, this is crazy. Yeah,
and it's amazing because, well, I mean, beauty is in the eye, but that's what we do this, right? So I mean, which makes it fun. But I'm like, God damn it! Like, I didn't get into most of the riffs. I felt like they were wanking themselves or each other off a lot. Like, there was, here's a Yaz flute section or whatever, and then here we're gonna do death metal. What's that?
The Swedish rudder.
Exactly, the Swedish rudder. And exactly. So I mean, like, the death metal parts, of course, are cool because
his vocals are undeniably like amazing death metal.
They're always great, but they're when they're better though is when he has interesting cadence.
Yeah,
and I didn't feel like he had cadence on this. That it's like rap. When you're not singing tonally, it has to be something that makes you go like, something that makes you move. And I'm like, it just goes to me. And I'm like, it goes from folk to black to death metal to jazz to whatever, and never kind of drags me in and makes me go, oh, I feel like a part of this. Where so many of those parts, like when Blackwater Park came out, it was like you instantly go, fuck, I want to stop the car and pull over it. Like, just, slinky little heavy riffs, and the way the death metal vocals were way more syncopated and fucking cool. And this one for me, I just was like, they're going to kick my ass on this one. It's a good thing I know jujitsu. I didn't feel like there was, it's like,
I don't know.
I didn't feel much of a backbeat in the music, like when the drums are doing and then, but there's a backbeat to it. You can be proggy and still have something that makes you tap your head. And I didn't get any of that. I tried.
Wow.
I just felt like it went on and on with random sections without hooks or melodic themes. I wrote down that built or went anywhere. That's it. So that's all I got. I don't know anything about the production. I don't know anything else. I just know that for me, that was the one that surprised the shit out of me, because I thought it was, I think I probably waited till last because I thought it was going to probably end up being number 1. I'm like, fuck, it's Opeth. I don't remember it, but I'll go back and listen to that one again. I put it on. I was like, I'm beside myself.
I can agree with you to a certain extent on there, because I think Orchid, Morningrise, and I do love Morningrise. I think those are two very much getting their footing type of albums and still feeling things out. And I think, but I will say that I do agree with you. I think there are moments of monotony on Morningrise, but then I think there's a big payoff. If you can sit through a couple of those sections, it gets you to that point where you're like, oh yeah. And it's a big payoff, and if that makes any kind of sense.
Those, I think, compared to a lot of Swedish melodic death metal bands, Gothenburg style, whatever, I think that Opeth are masterclass at creating the most powerful harmonies with melody. And it is funny hearing you say, like, it's not it doesn't have that feel, but for me, like, that's a total emotional album for me. Yep. And I feel all those like build-ups, and then into the next part, it's like David created a better harmony. And I don't know I know you're a guitar player, right? So it's like I'm a guitarist, and I I don't know, maybe just where my head was at in the mid to late '90s. Like, it definitely inspired Ordrin a lot. Besides, like the doom metal influences, like, and then like going back and watching a video of them live from '96. I think they were opening up or playing with Solstice, and those guys were into them, and I could tell they must have been influenced on New Dark Age because New Dark Age has a very similar sound to Opeth. I realize. And but I don't know. It could have been any one of those albums within that time.
Well, I wouldn't deny their influence. And anything that has to do with their talent level. I just felt like they just weren't for me. And I guess it's because
I feel the same way about it.
Came in the Blackwater Park, and so I just thought this would be easy, but it just isn't the same at the same level in any way. So there's not doesn't mean it's shitty metal or shitty music. Yeah. It's just not for me. And I just. It's like you were talking about Cradle of Filth, which we'll talk about later more, but sure. But it's the melodies are important, and to me anyway. And melodies can be a lot of things. Cannibal Corpse has great melodies, so it's just for my ears that there's nothing there.
I understand.
If I'm not going to put it on, if I look at that in like a Maiden record or whatever, and I want to hear melodies, I'm going to put Maiden on. I'm never going to play the Opeth record. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
So
it's interesting.
I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's cool.
I'm weird. I got problems.
No, maybe I'm a more boring person. Like maybe like I was more boring back in the '90s, but I really just was entranced by what they were doing. Even maybe I like unfinished crap. Maybe I realized that. Maybe that's my whole style in life. Like I'm like when I make albums, like sometimes I almost just prefer stuff that could be long, lots of riffs, and it's not a polished thing. You know what I mean? And I would like to polish what I do more to make it more accessible. But I feel like maybe that is the reason why I liked it, because it's rawer. But I don't know.
Well, I'd like to write better music, but I mean, I'm here to critique theirs right now.
Yeah, I know. Blackwater Park is an amazing album. It's funny because when I first heard that, I really liked it, but at first I had to get used to it because it was so much more polished sounding at the time, and it was a little bit more. I wouldn't even call it new metal-y or anything. Not what iota of that, but it had a newer vibe to it. But then when I really got into the album, I really love that album too. But I feel like Orchid and Morningrise go hand in hand. They almost seem more black metal. They almost seem more, I got to stop talking about any of those albums because I got to talk about it later. And I don't want to use up all my crap. But.
Let's let John talk about all of his right now.
I just wanted to get my CPAP out when I listened to that record.
Wow.
All right.
Boom. Well, the judges.
If Michael Ackerfeld is watching, just know that the views expressed.
I love him. He's amazing in Bloodbath.
Take that, Michael Ackerfeld. Yeah, I know you're right.
But in Bloodbath, he's got to be one of the best death metal singers of all time. Like, it just fucking blows me away. Every second of that stuff, I eat up.
Yeah.
He needs the battery of another human being. I guess Bloodbath have a little bit more exciting members in it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
They got something. They got good songs.
They do. Yeah. They write They write good songs. Yeah. Good riffs. Yeah.
All right, Darin, what you got at your number 5 spot?
Okay, so I have a number 1, and then I have everything else.
Right.
So it's like there's
I'm the same way.
A great divide, and up until this point, I was going back and forth with everything else. What's going to be 5? What's going to be 4? What's going to be 3? What's going to be 2? What I settled on was Anathema. I like Anathema. I liked Anathema when they were Death Doom. I love Serenades. The EP before that, Crestfallen, I really like that too. But Serenades was really, really good. And I listened to it a lot. And it was similar to Paradise Lost and a few other bands, but I thought Anathema brought something interesting to the genre of Death Doom. And then their singer, Darin White, I think his name was, he left or was kicked out. And so the sound changed. And then they came out with, and I was really like iffy. I'm like, oh man, they have a different singer. Or actually, they didn't even have a different singer. The Kavanaugh brothers, one of the Kavanaughs took over lead vocals.
Yeah.
And they came out with this. and my expectations were very low, but I ended up loving it, and I still do. Yeah, it's really, really good. I like how they incorporated the Death Doom thing. They pulled the death vocals away. I have a cleaner vocals, but they remind me a lot of Tom G. Warrior era Into the Pandemonium, the morbid moans.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really cool. I like the lyrics, and the whole album was really good. I was really impressed. And so I was looking forward to the follow-up, Eternity, and I was really let down by it. It's like most of the aggression was now gone. I mean, it was sort of there, but it was a little bit more sublime and emotional. And to me, I would have preferred they stayed where they were with the Silent Enigma, at least a little longer. I mean, I understand that, it's necessary to progress, but I would have rather them just stayed a little longer in that mode. They took a leap into eternity. And I mean, I can appreciate things about it. It's not a bad album. It's just not for me. To me, it kind of leaned too into like a romantic, the Cure, a little goth. There's a little bit of goth in all their stuff to various degrees, but when we got into Eternity, it was more like the Cure or something. And there's nothing against the Cure. I like the Cure, but I don't like the Cure mixed with my metal. If I'm going to listen to the Cure, I'm going to like get in that mindset and listen to the Cure. I don't like the Cure meets Paradise Lost or Anathema or whoever. To me, they're two separate things, and they should kind of remain separate. So I wasn't really too receptive to that, and I guess it's pretty much still where I am. But like I said, I mean, there's my number one, and then there's everything else. None of them are bad albums per se. Some of them are just not for me. I do like this band, but I don't like this record, so it falls at number 5 for me.
Fair enough. Do you?
The end.
Let me ask you this, Darin, because the keys, like the synthesizer and the keyboards, were a lot more prominent on this. Do you think that was too much of a leap? Because I ran into this argument with a lot of people, and I've read a lot of things too, and that seemed to be a huge sticking point, in particular when it came to this album.
Yeah, I mean, it took a little bit of the heaviness away, but it was a lot of things that kind of worked in conjunction with one another that just sort of brought it into a lighter field, and I wasn't expecting it, and it's not my Anathema. My Anathema falls somewhere between Serenades and the Silent Enigma, and that was the last album I bought, Eternity. After that, I checked out altogether. I figured, well, and then I would I'd hear things, and my suspicions were confirmed that it wasn't for me, so I just never bothered buying anything after that. But those two, Serenades and the Silent Enigma, along with My Dying Bride, Paradise Lost, that the Death Doom genre stuff is pretty cool. So I still listen to them from time to time, and I like them. But beyond that, not for me.
I get that. All right, Butch, number 5. What you got?
All right, I don't actually have I don't have any props because I don't own a single one of these records. And some of them just were ones I had on CD, and they didn't had the great CD call of 2025, and some of them I just haven't reacquired yet on vinyl, or I might end up just reacquiring them on CD the way things are going with prices. But
stream it,
anyway, huh?
Stream it.
Well, I mean, I do. I listen to Spotify all day when I'm working because it's easier than. First of all, I don't have my wireless. I got to get my wireless headphones set up again so I can listen to my records during the day because I got a backlog like crazy. That's beside the point. Number 5 for me was always going to be number 5. There was no way this record stood a chance of being anything than number 5 because I've never been a big fan of black metal. I like some. I've grown to like some over the. Since when? Since forever. I just don't like the vocals, which is usually what kills it with me.
Especially this band's vocals.
Yeah, I mean, I like some. I can listen to some black metal, especially the. I definitely don't like the primitive sounding stuff, the lo-fi, like that kind of thing. Like I like the bigger, like the more orchestrated or epic kind of stuff. Like sometimes the music is like I'm just like holy shit, like the music is so good that I'm just like I can get past the vocals. But in this case, I cannot hang with Danny Filth's voice. I First of all, he sings over top of everything. Like he's always going, and I feel like the album is like oppressive to me in that way because I never get a break from that screech, and he's not, and I never. Truth be told, like after this one, I bought this I remember buying this because there was hype about it, and I'm like reading a lot about them, and I'm like, well, check it out. I mean, check out something new. I like the cover.
The write-up sounded interesting at the time. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so I picked it up and I was like immediately, I'm like, oh my God, I can't, I made a terrible mistake here with my luckily I bought it used. So it was like my $9, like, yeah. But when I listen to it again, like honestly, here's the thing about it is, man, his vocals really, really, if you take his vocals off or if he tempered them or if he had more like, he just doesn't, he does kind of the same thing all the time. He's not the most, I don't know what he's done since then because after this one, I was like, I don't care. I'm not checking anything else out. So I don't know if he's ever expanded his vocal palette.
You might like Midian. You might like Midian, maybe. But he still gets a little annoying on that.
Honestly, I'm probably going to check out some of the other ones because after I re-listened to this one, I'm like, I really like found myself like, there were points where the music was like you could really hear the Maiden in some of it, and there were some really great riffs on it, but it was just like, God damn it, like I just can't. There are some records like the vocals put me off, and then the music doesn't call to me at all. Like this one, I really wish I could stomach it. Like, and maybe if I listen to it more, because I really did like a lot of the tracks. But overall, for me, it's just like it's a hard sell. There's been stuff I've liked I like a couple of Immortal albums, and
yeah,
I like some of Ishan solo stuff, and I like I don't know. There's
Old Man's Child. You ever heard them?
I haven't heard them. I heard
Pagan
of
Prosperity is a good album.
There's some stuff like Goat Whore, and there's like those. I don't know if those guys even be considered black metal.
Kind of older style. Yeah,
you might like Dimmu Borgir better than Cradle of Filth.
Well, I like the new. I'll tell you what. I like the new Dimmu Borgir album a lot. So it's like it, and that it seems like the vocals don't bother me near as much. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean it's a well done record. I mean, I think if you like that style of vocal, like I could see why these guys were popular. It's a very well done record. The music I think is killer.
It was considered more produced from there.
Yeah, I mean, like I just said, the vocals, like if you like that style, it's cool, but it's just not like Darin was saying about the Anathema record. This just isn't for me, and most black metal isn't. That's it's a hard sell for me. But there's definitely a lot to like about the record. Like if I were gonna review it, I wouldn't give it anything lower than like a 7 or a 6 or something. 20. It's just not like my kind of. Would you say out of 20?
Out of 20.
Yeah, out of 200. But yeah, so that's my number 5. And I knew going in, I'm like, I knew it was going to be between this one and another one, and this one like lived down to the. Although I shouldn't say it lived down to it because, like I said, I did discover years later it's better than I thought it was, and I probably will give it a few more spins and peruse the rest of the catalog before I determine if they're a total write-off for me.
I completely understand that too. I know that the vocals are, definitely the focal point for a lot of people in the same way a lot of people have a hard time with King Diamond. It's an acquired taste. But no, I understand that.
The atmosphere is cool. The way they dress, it's got like that like Count Dracula kind of thing, like
Very
Hammer
much.
Horror.
Yeah.
It reminds me of like that band Master's Hammer from Eastern Europe. They're a weird black metal band.
Yeah, I mean, they did some creative things. I like there's a lot of like super, like just great, like classic metal riffing and stuff on it. And then they do, they try the different, female vocals in here and there, and then some of the goth atmospheres and stuff. So it's like a creative record. It's like I could, I'd have all these positive things to say about it until we get to the final point, which is I can't stand the vocals on it, and because of that, like they're half a song to me because there's no melodies for me to grab onto really.
You know which
Maybe
ones are
with-
similar? If Darin would have picked the AC, Seth Putman has similar vocals.
Ugh.
All right, my number 5. I know at least one of you is probably going to throat punch me for this one, but I'm going to go with Motorhead, Overnight Sensation. Yep, there it is. I knew it. I knew Derek was winding up. Darin winding up on me.
And now we know Darin's number 1.
Here is my defect when it comes to Motorhead, who I love, but anything post, I guess, Orgasmatron, I have a very hit or miss kind of. I don't even want. It's not even a love-hate relationship. It's just for whatever reason beyond that, I have a hard time staying focused on their output. I don't know why. I have no particular reason because they put out. I mean, we all know they put out some incredible music since that period. And Overnight Sensation was a pretty pivotal album for them because it was, they're back to the trio, between Lemmy and Phil and Mickey, and that was the band up until it was no more. I love the title track, and I absolutely love I Don't Believe a Word, but nothing else really stuck with me. I've got no other reasons to say why this is in my 5 spot other than I never got a lot of replay value out of it. I never revisited it that much. It's a kick-ass Motorhead album. Funny little side note that I didn't even realize until today. It's the first album they did with them on the cover since Ace of Spades. So I thought that was kind of a cool little tidbit. But
no mutton chops.
I think it's a heavier album than Sacrifice. I like the production on it. I haven't really got much more to say other than it didn't grab me like I know it did a lot of other people.
You know what's good about that? More Motorhead for me.
There you go.
I'll
I'm
take
doing
your
this all
Motorhead.
for you, Darin. I'm leaving leaving it for you.
For
So again, a great album. It just falls to number 5 for me.
Some parts of Sacrifice actually sound a little heavier, I thought. Like some of the guitar riffs seemed a little bit more barbaric on that.
Man,
I don't know.
I thought it was opposite for me. I mean, it's pretty neck and neck. I just, when I revisited this one, I thought this was a little bit more on the heavy side. Well, the riffs or the delivery.
It is heavy, yeah.
It's kind of debatable as to how much Wurzel had to do with Sacrifice because he was sort of on his way out.
Yeah.
But
I was looking that up. Yeah.
I think there's some heavier songs on Sacrifice. I mean, the title track is pretty ripping.
The tones are pretty raw. Yeah.
I mean, I'll get to it when I get to it. But yeah.
Yeah.
I just lit a fire now.
We're all lighting fires.
To each his own. It's all good.
We all picked a different album for our top 5. We all picked a different.
No, you and Butch got the same one, John.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
all right, well, let's see where the number 4s fall in. So back around to you, John.
All right, to lay the hammer down, I'm gonna have to pick Anathema, Eternity. I didn't want to say this, but it did kind of bore me a little bit. In the same way that maybe you felt that way with Opeth, and that's exactly what I was feeling with this album. But I did like a lot of parts on it. There was definitely things that stood out, like the vocals in The Beloved were really good. His vocals were interesting, and they were like, I know they were similar throughout, but for some reason they did stand out on that track, and I did like that one. I do like how Angelica starts, because it reminds me of like While Heaven Wept a little bit, but then it kind of goes into a different direction than what I was expecting, and I guess like Darin was saying, it doesn't have... The only album I had, I don't know a lot of Anathema stuff, and the only one I had was like the EP Pentecost 3, and that was a little bit more death metal.
Yeah, I forgot about that. It's a really good one too.
Yeah, and I really
the title track, man.
I like that one quite a bit for the time. I used to read like Hellraiser or something. I was reading something at the time while I was listening to that. So let me see. So another thing about this album, I mean, I like Cries on the Wind, Ascension, Hope. That's like a David Gilmour song, I guess,
Yeah.
cover. I
Oh.
mean, that was pretty cool. But the surprising thing is when I got to the end, I was actually listening to or the Japanese import tracks came up. So when I heard the instrumental or the acoustic version, not instrumental, the acoustic version of Far Away and Eternity, was it Eternity 2 or something? Or Eternity Part 3. I was almost going to raise this album a little higher because of that, because I actually preferred it acoustic. I thought if this whole album was acoustic, I think it would raise up in the ranking for me, or maybe it should be on another type of ranking. You know what I mean?
Right.
But yeah, that's how I feel about that one. I mean, I don't necessarily hate it, but there were parts on it where it was a little boring to me a little bit. And sorry, Butch, about that.
You don't know where I ranked it
Well, you might have ranked it
Yeah.
somewhere within the realm.
just because I
don't know.
picked it.
It could be
Okay, so
four.
you were just picking something.
You ranked
take
it
it
number 2
personally.
after Motorhead.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can't. I don't have much to say about it. I don't know any of the members. I've seen pictures of them in metal magazines growing up. I bought the one EP back in the day. Maybe I should go back and check out more of their death metal stuff. But I don't have a lot of
Check
death
out-
doom stuff.
Check out the one before Eternity.
Oh, that's
Silent
after the death metal
Yeah.
guy left or something. Okay.
Yeah, the first one after the first singer Darin White left. If I were to recommend it, Anathema to somebody, I mean, I guess it would depend on their taste, but
Yeah.
from my
Is it-
perspective, I think everything really comes together on the Silent Enigma. And
That
I
first
love
song, Restless Oblivion, is a crushing
Restless
song.
Oblivion.
it's
Oh,
killer. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
good, really good stuff.
cool.
Cool lyrics too.
Yeah, I definitely noticed how it did have this album did have like a gothic 80s gothic kind of thing. And it's funny because I've been listening to like Sam Hain a lot because I like that band, but that's gothic at a whole different level. You know, that's like more abrasive music. You know, or I mean, maybe it's more horror themed, but yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I guess it'll sit in 4. I'm gonna sit this in 4 for this
It's
list.
just sitting there.
All right.
It's gonna sit up in that.
4 it
You
is.
just sit there at number 4, Anathema.
Go over there.
I'm gonna tell you one time, you don't move. Keeping an eye on you.
Don't make me get the gothic stick.
That's right. You don't come around here with them gothic parts. Looking that way. Take your eye makeup and put it away. Where you
Put it
think you are, son?
Put it in your Transformers lunchbox.
My next band will be a gothic band.
Anathema is French for sissy music.
I got it. Go with that.
All right, Eric, you're up. What you got for 4?
Oh boy. I mean, it shouldn't come as much of a surprise to some of you guys, I guess, but Cradle of Filth, definitely number 4, could have been number 5 if it wasn't for the fact that their music is pretty cool. I like the Midian album. A couple of you guys mentioned that one. Like, hey, maybe that's the one. If you were going to check one out, Butch, probably, but you still not like it because the vocals aren't really any better. They're better.
drier.
They're a touch better. I don't remember why, but I think he had more
something-
interesting stuff going on. Of the songs, I feel like the songs are better. Whoever said that he sang over everything,
That's me.
that's this record.
Oh,
It is. You're right. That was a great call out because it's like this record's going of a bunch of cool, harmonic minor, maiden-y type things with really cool, drum patterns and everything, and then over and over again. And every song starts with that shrieking E thing. Every song, and it's weak. It sucks. It's to me, it's just lame. It's Hot Topic black metal. When these guys came out, I was like, oh my god, it's the Hot Topic's new mascot.
Well, they definitely ended up going that route for sure. So
For sure. I mean,
agree
they
with
had
you.
all the same clothes, the big boots, and which is totally cool, man. If you're cosplaying Dracula, that shit's fun. And that's the soundtrack for it, I guess. But I think I when they did their cover of Hallowed Be Thy Name, I was like, oh, these guys know how to play metal, and they're pretty fucking good at it. And I was like, and I got Midian probably around that time. I could be completely fucking wrong, but I got it, and I was like, I dig that. I was like, I kind of dig this, but I really wouldn't play it for many people because I'm like, they're gonna hate it.
Yeah,
it's
exactly. Yeah.
I hate to use the King Diamond reference because it's fucking King Diamond,
Right.
and he can do no wrong, really. I mean, so I mean, if you love him or hate him, but you really need to love him or else you're wrong. And this guy, not good. I don't like Danny Filth, his vocals really at all. I think that the music saved him probably in parts where he couldn't write a bad part for it, maybe because the music is so good in ways. But yeah. So another thing is with these guys, they fall into a category that I've made up in my own weird ass head, which is bands who would sound much better with a melodic singer. And to me, them, and I'm just throwing this out there, so don't hate me for fans of these guys, but them and Amon Amarth are, and I've listened to Amon Amarth a lot, but when I saw them play with Ghost a couple of years ago, I was like, God damn, these guys would be great if they had a good singer. And when they did the song with Biff, and you hear Biff singing, I'm like, fuck, he should just be their singer. I was like, they sound cool. And I'm like, because they have really cool vocal patterns. And I'm like, those patterns would sound really great. Whereas like Cannibal Corpse wouldn't sound good to me with a melodic singer, but Amon Amarth would, I think. And I think that, and so I have this category in my head. I kind of catalog these bands, and that Cradle of Filth definitely fits in there because you can hear some of the vocal melodies or the patterns in there that would be, man, if you just picture it, Butch, like, take one of their songs and you got a really good voice. Take their lyrics and sing along to it and see what it would sound like, or just imagine it. I bet you'd be like, oh shit, I could make these guys sound killer. Maybe you've already thought that and you just don't want to tell anybody. But
I re-recorded their whole catalog with my voice over top.
Exactly. These days you can use Suno, right? Just strip off the vocals and do it.
Radio Shack tape recorder.
Yeah, you could
to get that authentic.
Suno, isn't it Suno where you just strip the vocals off and sing over it?
Oh, you could do it with AI. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah, you just pull those vocals off, throw them on your DAW, and throw your vocals over the top of it, and I bet we'd all be thoroughly impressed. You could say this is my new band, and we wouldn't know it was Cradle of Filth because it'd be cool vocals. Yeah, so that's about it. I mean, I think Danny, when he's in his mid-range, he's tolerable. Sometimes he goes into a mid-range thing, and it's pretty cool. It's not cool, but my head stops hurting. And then what else did I say in here?
He does some death metal vocals too, some lower parts.
A little bit.
He guttural.
He goes guttural. I kind of intrigued by some of the talking parts in it because they kind of double them in a weird way. It's like it's not really doubled, but it's like he goes, and then it goes, behind it, Lord of the Rings thing behind it. And then, I think they got better with time, but his constant screams are horrible. Like stepping on a bag of cats. It's just not fucking good, dude. It's not good. It's not good. And, I mean, it's so weird because, you could take someone like Corthon and be like, and say the same thing, but I think, I still love that. I still love that. I could listen.
Corthon's worst album versus, I don't know.
I can't. I just can't. His voice just sounds irritating.
Well, Corthon almost has a sound where he's just being himself, and he's just. I don't know. It's two different types.
It sounds very organic, and it
it's organic.
With the music well.
He's not good, but he's doing his whole heart into it. Not that Danny's not, but Danny's almost more going so theatrical that maybe it's a little bit more ego than heart or something, or I don't know.
It's ego or something. I'll go with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
all
it.
Right. Darin, what you got?
Well, I don't really want to gang up on Cradle of Filth, but number 4. We're on number 4, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
number 4.
I'm not going to be as harsh about it as Eric. But it's not to say that I don't agree with a lot of what you said, Eric. I agree with most of it. But it doesn't. I don't think it irritates me as much as it probably does you. What I like about it, and what I liked about it at the time, I think I got it when it came. I got the Principle of Evil Made Flesh because there's big hype about them at the time, and that came out. I mean, it was getting like really great reviews. Black metal from the UK, yada yada yada. And so I checked it out, and it was a little too intense for me at the time. I liked it, but I wasn't really that into it. But then I started. Then what's this one called? Dusk and Her Embrace.
Mm-hmm.
And that came out, and that got a lot of really good reviews, and people were talking about how they had progressed, and this is like master class of whatever it is they do. And so I got it, and right off the bat, I thought it was really cool. I like the atmospheres, I like the keyboards, a lot of thought. I mean, for lack of a better word, I would say there's a lot of gingerbread. You know what I mean? It's like just everything is so, it's very gothic, but it's gothic in a British a Hammer horror way, which I love Hammer horror. So, I mean, that was a win for me. The vocals are yeah, they're annoying, but they're only annoying after a while. And it's because there's not enough variation. It's like when he's on all the time.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, it gets fatiguing after a while. I don't have a problem with the vocals. I think it's suitable. But like after the 3rd or 4th song, I mean, I'm good. You know, so I mean, at that point, if you're going to compile an album of like 9 songs, and that early in or halfway through it, you're like, vocals are too intense. You got to figure something else out. You got to like have some variation to kind of break the monotony or something. And that's where the problem lies. I think it's cool. I mean, there's a lot of interesting things. It definitely takes you into an atmosphere. And yeah, I mean, there is definitely like a Hot Topic thing, but this is before that.
Yeah.
So I didn't make the correlation with the Hot Topic and Cradle of Filth at the time.
It was before Hot Topic.
Yeah.
For me,
might have
anyway.
been.
I'm not saying it. I'm not saying that Hot Topic wasn't out. I wasn't. I didn't go to Hot Topic.
No, I mean, in terms of the popularity when it hit Hot Topic, it probably hit somewhere by
Cruelty and the Beast.
By the late '90s. Yeah, Cruelty.
I'd say Midian was the big commercial thing, and that's
that
where
might have
if you were at the
popular,
mall, you started seeing the kids in Cradle of Filth shirts, or if you walked by Hot Topic, there was quite a few. So that's where I think they crossed.
Yeah. I don't disagree with that. When Eric, when you said that, I'm like, yeah, that's the big boots and totally. But I mean, I didn't make the correlation at the time, so I mean, that wasn't like a distraction for me. The biggest distraction for me was, I revisited it recently, and my conclusion was the same now as it was back then. Although I wanted to like it more then because I felt like it's something that was really cool and I wanted to like it. Now I just don't care because I mean they've come so far, and I would like a lot of other things. You know, I touch base, I check it out. Oh, what are these guys up to? You know, what do they sound like now? And it was like pretty much what I expected. I mean, I think they just like kind of ran off a cliff. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry to interrupt. I was just saying, what's interesting is like Katie and Chronicle by Ancient came out the same year, and I feel like that totally holds up more. The quality, the guitar tone, the composition. I mean, maybe it falls more into the Morningrise realm, maybe for some people, but it's also theatrical and it's got a little bit of catchiness. I feel like that's a very underrated album. I almost should have picked that just because this album is also on there, but all the picks are not one style. But
Alien Chronicle flew under the radar for a lot of people too.
It's not even on the list. It's not even on the list that we were looking at.
Yeah.
And that's the weird thing. And that album is like, Butch, you should check out that album. I think you might like it because his black metal vocals just sound like amazing. They sound like I don't know, not like Greek black metal, but they have like a tone that you just is soothing to hear. It's actually, and that's weird to say about black metal, but I'm just going to throw that out there. That's about it.
No, I'm with you on that.
What are you talking about? Who?
Ancient?
What's the band?
Ancient Kenyan
Ancient?
Chronicle.
Never heard of them. I don't know. I've never heard
It's
of them. I mean, I've
it's
heard of them, but I've never
Norwegian
heard of them.
Yeah, a Norwegian band. There were some different members. Some were from America. I think Kimberly Goss was in that. Then she joined Dimmu. Then she was in Synergy or something, or I don't know.
That was all
And
like an incestuous circle there for a while because I think
Virgin,
Nick
they were
Barker
Virgin.
played drums for like every black metal band at one point.
Yeah, probably, yeah. But either way, yeah.
I mean, I didn't think that Cradle of Filth was really black metal. I mean, I guess they
I know what
kind of
you
are, but
mean.
we're like in a British
They don't
sense.
like listening to
But
it
I mean,
now.
they're
I don't
pretty
really
unique
think
to
of black
anything else that
metal.
was going
Yeah,
on. I mean, I hadn't
They
heard
weren't
anything like Cradle of Filth,
they weren't
and I'm not
overtly like
comparing it to like
satanic.
everybody. Okay,
No, I'm sorry, Darren. Go ahead.
it's okay. But I mean, I couldn't compare it to like the Norwegian stuff because it didn't sound like that. It didn't sound like old school black metal, like Sodom or Bathory or whatever. It was kind of unique, but I really dug the atmosphere. But man, I still can't, and that's why it falls where it does. I can't hang with it beyond like the fifth song. First two or three songs, and especially just recently, I was listening to it, like, oh, you know what? This is pretty cool. And there's some good riffs along the way where they kind of like go off on a thing. It's like, oh wow, that's really, really cool. But then about the halfway mark, I'm like, I just can't take it. I mean,
Tap
Danny
it
Phil's
out.
vocals are like nails on a chalkboard, and he's really, it almost like he's just getting warmed up. When you think that, okay, this
Getting
is
warmed
about as
up.
much of him as I could take, he's getting warmed up because he's going to like go full on from like the half the album all the way to the end. And it's like, when I got to back off. But there's another band, Snowy Shaw from King Diamond. Did you ever check out his band Notre Dame?
Yeah.
No.
Okay, well, it's similar to Cradle of Filth. I think the Cradle of Filth is an influence, but he has a lot more variation in his vocals. I wouldn't say that he goes up as high or screechy as Danny, but he's got a lot of different sounds and it's very dramatic, but it's really campy. It's fun. If you like Cradle of Filth, you'd probably like Notre Dame. And if you don't like Cradle of Filth, but you kind of want to, maybe Notre Dame is the band for
I'm
you.
making my
Forgot about
notes
those
right now.
guys.
Yeah, if you don't like Cradle of Filth and you want to, I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that works for
So,
me.
yeah, so nothing against Cradle of Filth. I mean, obviously they're very successful. And people really dig the shit out of them, and I respect that. But not for me.
Yeah.
Vocals primarily.
Yeah.
All right. Butch, let's slide over to you, man.
All right. Man, I keep like as we talk, like some of these keep shifting in my head. And I'm just gonna call an audible on this one because when I listened to this record that I was gonna put at number 4, I feel like it's one that is gonna grow on me with repeated listens and it's gonna end up being higher up. So I'm gonna go with Motorhead at number 4. Not because I don't think it's a good record, because I haven't listened to that record in years and years. And I was like digging it. So like these last 4 records I really like. And I love the groove on that Motorhead record. It was way better than I thought it was. I remember getting it at the time, but Motorhead's always been kind of like was like an instant buy for me. I got Overnight Sensation when it came out. You see it, I'm like, holy shit, that another new record out, and I'm gonna buy it. And for whatever reason, like that middle period kind of got past me a little bit. But as I go back, like when I revisit it, there's just a lot of good songs on those records, and I like them back to being a 3-piece again. And it's like there's a diversity in the record that I think it maybe isn't quite there in some of the records over the years since Wurzel and Campbell joined, like since the original lineup. Like I feel like in the once we got to like Bastards and and went on, like I thought all the records are good. They never made a bad record as far as I'm concerned. Like Motorhead is good even mediocre Motorhead is better than a lot of bands' best records. So, I mean, it's Lemmy. You know what you're getting when you get a Motorhead record. Oddly enough, like one of the things that I think put me off a little bit of latter day Motorhead was their tendency to get to write, like do some of those heavier songs. Like I don't know what it was about it. Like I kind of like I like that dirtier vibe, like the groove that they'd lock into on the first bunch of
Dead Men Tell No
records
Tales or something, or just like raw.
just like from the first set of records up until that original lineup, like and then even with like
bluesy
Brian Robertson, like I love the groove in that stuff, and I think they kind of lost some of that when they were doing like a super heavy song.
Yeah.
But again,
We Are the Road Crew.
Yeah.
I love shit like that, but Motorhead, like I said, it's a really good record. One it's in the reacquire list. I just, for whatever reason, like I was just when I was listening to these, I just feeling this one record. I just flopped them. It was going to be at number 3. Anyway, it's number 4. Sorry, Darin. It's still great. It might as well be like a 3B and a 3A, let's say. So
I get it. Cool.
All right.
You might be able to get a couple good inexpensive vinyl copies on Discogs here soon, Darin, if you need some extras of these guys who put it in 4 and 5.
Yeah.
Number 4 for me. I hate being like the purist that I am when it comes to certain bands. And when Chris Barnes was gone and Corpse Grinder came in, it kind of changed it for me a little bit. I know, look at Eric spinning.
Eric has a sad.
Damn.
I couldn't make my head turn around, so
Darin's punching over Motorhead. Eric's spinning. Anyway, again, Vile was a pretty, pivotal milestone album for Cannibal Corpse, getting rid of Barnes and George coming in. I kind of feel like the brutality of Cannibal Corpse dropped a notch, and I don't want to put that all on Corpse Grinder. I just feel like the album as a whole, like all of a sudden had like this groove to it that prior Cannibal Corpse didn't have. Not that that's a bad thing, but it was just something I noticed, and I was kind of like, I don't know where I sit with this. It just was, it was a different sound for me. Not dramatic, but just enough to where I kind of noticed it, and it was always in the back of my head whenever I would listen to it. But when George comes on and 1, 2, 3, 4, and just fucking rips right into it, and Devoured by Vermin, beautiful fucking classic sounding Cannibal Corpse, and Butch's absolute favorite, Orgasm Through Torture. It has.
That's actually
has
pretty
all
cool. That's actually gets a good melody to it.
Yeah. I mean, all of the characteristics and love about Cannibal Corpse are there, but just from my point of view, there was just something that was off with that album. I didn't really go back and check it out very much. Kind of like Darin said with Cradle of Filth, I would check in every now and again to see where we're at, and the recipe didn't really change ingredients too much, and there was some good stuff here and there, but just for that alone, just kind of lands it at my number 4. So go ahead and throw whatever you want at me now, Eric. I'm sorry.
You're good.
Right. Bringing us around to our third choice, John. What you got?
I also have that album as my third choice. Vile, in some ways, it holds a special place in my heart because that's kind of like when I was like discovering a lot more death metal stuff. It was like after the initial hit from the 80s into the 90s, and it's like you could see a lot of these death metal bands at smaller clubs, and they weren't very popular. Cannibal Corpse obviously always filled up even like a small place, or whatever. I don't know if they were playing as big as places at the time, but either way, I got Vile. I remember going to the House of Guitars in Rochester, New York, and we met the band. We got it. We got our CD signed. We got to talk to the guys, and they live pretty close to us. Like we're like my singer Mike. I guess one of his neighbors is related to Alex Webster. And so I think even his brother kind of had talked to Alex Webster before and stuff like that. And they're from Akron and Corfu area or something. Like Jack Owens and stuff are from that area. But yeah, this album holds a special place in my heart because I went to see him at the Penny Arcade. The tour, I wrote it down, was with Immolation, Oppressor, and Brutal Truth at the time. And we were right up front for it. It was awesome. I had a great time. The album, I like Vile. Eaten from Inside. I love that song because it's got the R2D2 solo in it. It uses like a Zoom. So I'm guessing it's a Zoom thing with a pedal where you just kind of like wah wah through, but it alters your notes to sound like a robot or something. Yeah, Devoured by Vermin, Bloodlands, Puncture Wound Massacre, Disfigured. There's a lot of cool songs on it. I knew some Chris Barnes stuff prior to this, and I wasn't at a point in my life where I could like when they switched singers where I knew enough how different it was at that time. Now when I listen to it, I could tell, and I feel like Chris Barnes is definitely scarier. Chris Barnes sounds like it's more haunting. It's like he's a real dead corpse singing,
Yeah.
and maybe that. And I did actually. It's funny you mentioned because I ended up. What's the alternate name of the album? Like
Oh,
they did a version with
uh,
Chris Barnes before they.
yeah.
Eden from Inside? No, it's something else.
No, it wasn't the song title, I don't think.
Okay, but either way, yeah, it was like a different name. But I think he does like 5 songs or something, and I listen. I mean, it's slightly different. I mean, you could tell it's a little bit more grittier, maybe. But I think Corpse Grinder, he turned it. He made the band anew, or maybe they were becoming anew. And Rob Barrett was kind of like had just joined the album before
Yeah.
on Bleeding, right? So that was, and then he left after that album or something, or I don't know what happened with that. But I guess. It felt like maybe I know you were saying maybe it's like it's more groove, but in some ways I felt like this album was a little bit more technical or more just in your face, just kind of like nonstop aggression. But maybe what you mean is maybe Chris Barnes' vocals had a different level of like aggression that changed when Corpse Grinder came in. But Corpse Grinder is a pretty dynamic, vocalist.
Oh,
I
very
think,
much so. Very much
yeah,
so. And I think,
he
if
was
you're
hitting
going to
the high
compare him and
parts.
Barnes, I think
Yeah,
not that this really applies, but I think Corpse Grinder's a little bit more articulate, whereas
yeah.
Barnes just was, Cookie Monster guttural from start to finish. But you're
Yeah,
right. And I don't think I can say he's got a better range or anything, but yeah, I think dynamic is a good way to put it.
yeah.
Yeah,
That album was called Created to Kill, by the way.
that's it.
Oh, okay.
Created to
I
Yeah,
Kill.
looked it up. I'm not smart. I just looked it up.
yeah.
I was
That's how I
looking it
found
up
it.
on YouTube, but I didn't want to look at the detail lines. I thought it might start playing, and then I'd be like an asshole
Yeah.
playing.
Did they
Oh, I'm on
change?
my phone playing.
It's in their
Did they
box
change
set.
the title of that because of Barnes? Because there was that whole Barnes owned the original logo. They had to change that for Vile too. I don't know if that was some kind of a like I don't know if it was a lawsuit. I just remember there was that real big dispute where Barnes was like, "I own the logo. I own this. That was my title." So they had a lot of switcheroos to do before Vile can come out. I don't know if
I
anybody
just read about
remembers
this
any of
stuff
that.
yesterday because that was that I was talking about transitions. Like I didn't, I knew he was the new guy in there, and I just never really cared to look into it, deep dive it. But yesterday I started looking. I was like, oh shit, I didn't even real, and I didn't know they tracked 7 songs with Chris Barnes, Mike swallowing garbage vocals. Uh, anyway, moving on.
So yeah, that's all I have to say about that. Really, I've seen him about 5 times in my life. They're always a good show. So
Yeah.
I saw him with God Dethroned in '99 or 2000, and Hate Eternal. We played that one, and
I think I've seen him
Oh.
twice in the last 2 years. We saw him with Obituary and Amon Amarth, and then we just saw him with Jesus was just up at the there. Oh, with it was Fulci and God damn, I can't remember who else was there. Anyway,
Oh,
Didn't you do a
Fulci.
show review on that one?
what's that?
Didn't you do a show review on that one?
I did, and I can't remember who was on that show. It was God damn, I can't remember who it was now. It was Fulci and Cannibal Corpse, but I can't remember.
I wonder if it
Whatever.
was that local. There's a Rochester band that's a big death metal band now, and I can't remember their name.
Was it Blood Incantation?
Oh, maybe it was that band. That's a different band, but yeah, I've heard of them.
I don't know. My memory is shot. See, Darin, I told you, my short-term memory is getting really bad. All right, let's.
We're in
let's
Oh, is it Undeath? Undeath? No,
no,
never mind.
I'll think of it. Hopefully. All right, number 3 for Eric. What you got?
I don't have a lot to say about this one. I put number 3. I put Anathema, and Eternity. I mean, I went and I was intrigued by the record, and I hadn't heard it before. There's a lot of bands called Anathema, so I had actually forgot which one this was, and I went back. I was like, oh yeah, but I liked a lot of the other stuff, like Darin was saying. Just kind of let it roll through Apple Music or something while I was out hunting garage sales, and liked a lot of it. But then I was like, okay, I need to focus on this record and see what this is about, you know. And I just thought like that first track with the keys and guitars was really compelling. I really love the piano lines and the guitars, the kind of melancholy lead building in this. Oh, this is going somewhere, you know. And then it wasn't super great. It wasn't great. It wasn't great. But it was cool. I mean, it's listenable. So now I'm more intrigued to go back and listen to the other stuff I had heard when I was perusing and get into a couple other records. I'm probably heard the earlier stuff you're talking about, Darin, because it sounded cool. And actually, when I went back to buckle down on this specific record, I was like, wait, where are those other ones that I heard? And so they clearly were from other records, you know. Sometimes I do that. If I'm not super familiar with the band or familiar at all, I just put them on and play everything and kind of get a feel for them. And then I'm going to listen to the record specifically. But, you know, I guess I was still hung up on the Opeth album. So I made notes like that. I felt they were more focused and developed than Opeth was in their sense of prog. Like they were proggy. I got more proggy than I did gothic-y for me. Just because when I hear gothic, I do hear, you know, Bauhaus, the Cure, Skinny Puppy, or whatever, you know. I don't really hear this kind of stuff, but I did totally get the Tom Warrior into the Pandemonium vocal thing. There was a couple spots on this record where it had that. So it's interesting that they did an earlier one, you said, right?
Yeah, the one before that, Silent Enigma.
Yeah, that was cool. I was like, whoa, Tom Warrior, check it out. That's cool. And there was like one vocal pattern that sounded just like a Warrell Dane vocal pattern. I don't know what it was, but it just caught me. And I was like, whoa, shit. And it was just for a second, or 30 seconds, and it was gone. And then went on to some other stuff. But, you know, some solid tunes in there. I liked Cries on the Wind. I felt like I could feel what they were trying to create. And I feel like there was something, I just felt like it was an entertaining record that I may or may not listen to again, but it wasn't anything super special. It was perfect for number 3. Like I didn't really dig it immensely, but I could totally get into some of their other stuff. And I didn't dislike it like the 2 I spoke about. That I shall not mention again right now.
That shall not be spoken of.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I will go back and say again, I did really like the Midian record from Cradle of Filth, and I like the song Nymphetamine a lot. On the next, I think that next album maybe it was called Nymphetamines or whatever. They had a
it's like one of their hits. Yeah,
that Nymphetamine was a cool tune. It's just a straight up metal classic, I thought.
Yeah,
I remember listening to it one morning going steelhead fishing, and I was like, God, this song fucking rules. And anyway, that was that. weird memories. But that's what I got from those guys. I kind of dig melancholy stuff sometime, like as long as in metal, because I'm not into like bands like Iron and Wine and like really like depresso type music. But
What
sometimes
about Warning?
that's good. I can
Yeah,
do that. I mean,
yeah,
Gotta be in the mood for that.
yeah.
what's that?
You got to really be in the mood for that.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, you do, and I try not to be in that mood too much. If I get in that kind of mood, I start trying to write lyrics really quick.
Yeah.
I've got 4 sets of lyrics to write in the next like 2 weeks, and it's fucking sunny and happy out, and I'm like, God damn it, how am I supposed to, you know? I gotta
Drive up the road to Seattle.
Yeah, I can just drive up to Mount. I can drive up to Mount Hood, and like we're up where they filmed the parts for The Shining, and it's like
yeah.
an hour and a half from my house, and just look out over the mountains. And the right time, it'll be foggy and feel like the Carpathians, and I'll get spooky and sing about how I hate religion. Or I don't sing. Right? Sorry, singers, I don't sing. Yeah, that's it. Anathema. Great, number 3.
Awesome. All right, moving on to Darin.
Okay. I was kind of dreading this. I got a lot to say about Cannibal Corpse at number 3, and the fact that it's at number 3 kind of surprised me, only because initially I thought when Cannibal Corpse was suggested for this ranking, I kind of cringed. A little bit of a history with Cannibal Corpse. So mid 80s to late 80s, I was total thrash metal. Late 80s into early 90s, transition to death metal, which I still like thrash and hardcore and punk, but getting into death metal pretty much predominantly. And I was going to school in the city, and there was a store on South Street. It was a rock t-shirt CD store, and I used to go in there, and I made friends with the girl that worked there, and her name was Anne Marie Bowman, and I was doing a fanzine prior to that, and we kind of we hooked up for the purpose of the zine, and the zine was called Carnage, and it was primarily death metal, and I'm talking 89 to like 90, late 91. She went on to write for Metal Maniacs. She parlayed the zine thing into Metal Maniacs, and she was with Metal Maniacs for a while, I think. But I stopped after a couple of years. But within the time that we were doing it, she was also promoting a lot of shows in New Jersey at a club called G. Willikers in Pennsauken, and it was a who's who of the death metal band. She would get the only band I think that didn't play there was Deicide. It was because Glenn Benton was afraid to fly. He said that he made up some outlandish thing about how flying brought him too close to God, but we heard from more reliable sources that he was I know that he was just afraid of flying. But there was a group of bands in around this time that we were close with. The Suffocation was one, Immolation big time was another. Did I say Incantation? John McEntee was a friend of ours. And Gorephobia, and managed the band Gorephobia, and Alex, the guitar player in Gorephobia, went on to play in Immolation and Incantation and Master, and he's been all over the place. And he was super young at that time. He was only like 16 years old, so he was kind of like a protege. But yeah, death metal was our thing, and we were into like the Swedish stuff and East Coast, West Coast stuff like Autopsy, Death. And then we organized a trip. A bunch of people. We rented a bus and we drove to Buffalo, New York, for the Day of Death festival.
What
And that was
Baphomet?
like there was like a shit ton of bands on that. It was like Repulsion was on it, Mortician was on it, Immolation, Autopsy, Cannibal Corpse. Now, I hadn't really heard too much about Cannibal Corpse prior to this, but I did hear from some members of other bands that they weren't too cool. The band, there was a group, there were 3 bands that weren't too cool. They were cheesy. And one was Deicide, and the other was Obituary, and the third was Cannibal Corpse. And I'm not saying that I shared that because, I mean, had a passing familiarity with Obituary. I had slowly reread. I thought it was okay. Sounded like Celtic Frost. But I think there was some animosity with some other bands because some of these bands, one in particular, got to deal with Metal Blade. You know, that pissed some people off. And I heard the word posers a few times, certain bands. And I don't think Deicide was the band because Deicide had a little bit of credibility in Florida because they had Amon or Mon going for a while, and then they changed right before they got signed. They changed the name to Deicide, but they were in that category of bands that were cheesy, and so was and Cannibal Corpse was. So anyway, we drove to Buffalo, and all these bands, it was really kind of like almost overstimulation. There were so many bands, but I do remember Cannibal Corpse, and I thought they were pretty cool. I bought a demo. It was before the album came out. What was it? There was their first album, Eaten Back to Life, before that came out. So I bought the demo from Chris Barnes. It was a red, had the logo, I guess Chris Barnes' logo. I didn't know that he designed a logo, but it was like on construction paper. It was like printed. Nice. And I bought the demo and I bought a T-shirt. I liked them enough, and I caught some shit on the way back for buying some Cannibal Corpse merchandise. But I was drunk, and I dug it, and they seemed pretty cool, so I bought some stuff. But I a little while later, when Eaten Back to Life came out, we both, Ann and I both got it as a promo. We pushed it off on each other. I ended up taking the review, and I liked it enough. But I kind of maintained that there were better bands bubbling that had more ingenuity, that were probably better players. Now, I mean, as time went on, I think the guys in Cannibal Corpse, and then there were some lineup changes and things like that. But I think, who's the bass player's name? Alex Webster. He was like pretty highly regarded as a bass player, but I'm not sure if he was in a band at the time. Maybe he was.
Jack Owen.
What they put out at that time wasn't musical proficiency. It was Cookie Monster vocals. It was very it wasn't very, it didn't have a lot of variation. It was sort of like kind of entry level type stuff. And that leads me to why I put this album at number 3, because when I checked this out, it wasn't until much, much later, I was impressed by how they had progressed, and it was really music, and I enjoyed it. I have this is the last one I have. I have Eaten Back to Life, I have Butchered at Birth, and I have The Bleeding, right? And there's another one in there, I think.
Tomb of the Mutilated.
Tomb of the Mutilated.
Yeah, Tomb of the Mutilated. Vile is the best in my opinion, of all of them. I like George's vocals. Like I said in our message thread, I met George at a party, the Agoraphobia party. He was there with a bunch of people there, and he had just gotten kicked out of Corpse Grinder, or something happened. It was so long ago, I don't remember the details, but he was upset about that. And I like Corpse Grinder. I thought they were pretty cool. I don't know if you guys ever heard Corpse Grinder.
Heard of it.
But anyway, it was before he moved to Florida. And then he was in Monstrosity. I think Monstrosity was the band that he was in after leaving New Jersey, moving to Florida. And then somehow along the way, he hooked up. So Cannibal Corpse moved from Buffalo to Florida. Yeah. And that's when I guess they hooked up with George. And I think it was great. I was never really crazy about Chris Barnes' vocals. They're sort of unintelligible. I mean, which it doesn't really matter because the lyrics are so over the top anyway. It's like, it's not like, it's not like he's going to say anything that's going to like totally change your life, like Hammer Smash Face and shit like that. Yeah. But and Frank Mullen from Suffocation is a little bit like that too, a little bit indecipherable, but there's a little bit more clarity with Frank Mullen's vocals from Suffocation as opposed to Chris Barnes. But what I like about this album, I think the musicianship was bumped up a notch. And I like George's vocals. I think George brought something to the band that made them a little bit more dynamic, and I think they're pretty respectable. I mean, I'm in the minority there, I guess, because I mean they're like probably the most popular death metal band, other than Death. And that always kind of confused me. Deicide and Obituary too. Those three bands are like they're on the highest tier of death metal. I could never understand. I mean, I guess I kind of do. It's pretty easy to digest. Some of it's like not to say that any of it's really necessarily cerebral, but I mean, they're when you listen to Immolation and then you go to like Obituary's fun, and the riffs are catchy. There's a lot of hooks. It's
Good
fun. It's
guitar
like
tone. Yeah.
beer drinking death metal. Immolation's a little bit more brooding. Overthinking it. I don't know. It's definitely more musical. It's definitely more evil sounding. Whereas Deicide and Obituary and Cannibal Corpse is more fun. And it should be that way. I mean, music should be fun. We should enjoy it, not like, get super, super serious over stuff about,
Get too serious.
getting violent on people and whatnot. But anyway, yeah, so number 3 for me is the Cannibal Corpse Vial. Like I said, I was kind of cringing at first, like, oh man, I don't want to piss anybody off. But I'm glad it was in there because I probably wouldn't have checked it out otherwise, and I was pleasantly surprised. It's pretty good stuff. So.
Cool. I just remembered it was Municipal Waste that opened for Cannibal Corpse.
Oh,
That's who it was. So, hey, Butch, number 3.
All right. Yeah. What Darin was just saying about one of the things I like about us doing this and everyone picking a different record is that you got to listen to something that maybe wouldn't be your first pick. Like I would never have chosen to listen to Cradle of Filth on my own, and honestly, like Cannibal Corpse 2 would have been a stretch for me. I did have I can't remember the name of one of their records. It's one of the Corpse Grinder song records, though. Anyway, I remember buying one of them and thinking I really like that. And here's where we're getting to, because my number 3 is Cannibal Corpse, which surprised me. I could have been more surprised if I woke up with my head stapled to the carpet. But the one of the things I like about some of the records they do with George is that, and Mike was saying, it's that, for me, it's that, like, I love that groove that's in there. Like the Barnes era stuff, again, death metal's like, it's not as much of a reach for me as black metal is, and over the years, like I've grown to appreciate it. There's a lot of death metal that I do like, but like I can't stand Chris Barnes' voice at all. I think he's awful, and I like Corpse Grinder a lot more. Plus, I don't know. He just seems like a cool dude. Like, I mean, you see the memes and stuff of this guy. Like, I just like his vibe, man. And like the whole, the spin in the head and all of that. Like I just like what he brings to he's like, he's got that guttural, but he is like, if you listen to it, like it's not like it is intelligible. Like you can hear the words in there, which is always like, it seems like those are the, if you're going to play me death metal bands and you play me 10 of them, the ones I'm going to, that I've always been more drawn to, bands like Entombed or, or where I can hear the, what they're saying, like, or like if there's a groove or something, I'm a sucker for that. Again, to bring up Gohor, like some of those records, like there's like just this catchiness and groove, like in the riffs.
Do you like Carcass?
No, I can't stand Jeff Walker's voice, man.
Yeah, I guess that's a weirder one. Yeah.
I'm trying. They're one of those bands I got to go back and I did revisit Heartwork and Swan Song, and I found myself interested enough when I was listening to them to think I'm going to put them on the longer list of stuff to potentially buy down the road. But as far as Cannibal Corpse goes, I mean, I like I said, when I listened to this, I was like shocked at how much I actually liked it. Like I really like the the pacing of the record, it does, there are some of the brutal, just fast stuff, but then the groove in there and some of the riffing and stuff, and they slow it, and they slow it down at times, and I think it makes like it's the old, when you play the slower riffs, then the faster stuff seems, everything seems, the faster stuff seems faster, the heavier stuff seems, I mean, it all just works really well for me. So yeah, I mean, this one, that's why I said and I've listened to it a couple times, and the more I listen to it, like the more that I find, like I think I like. I never would have thought like I would really, I bought, like I said, I did buy one of the records before, but then I bought another one around it, and I didn't like that one as much. So that, well, maybe it's just a one-time thing for me. But listening to this one, I'm gonna have to explore their catalog. That's what so this one for me is number 3. I think it's really good. It's cool to like expand my palette a little bit. It just, pushed the edges out just a little bit, like this record. So which makes this shit fun. So yeah, number 3 for me. Vile. And I do like, man, that song title, I was listening to it, I was like, texting Mike, messaging Mike as I was listening to it, and freaking Orgasm Through Torture. I mean, that's one you gotta love that about some of these death metal bands. I mean, some of them take themselves so seriously, and they write all more serious stuff, and then you got that's just like,
What's funny,
brilliant in a different way, like fun, like Darin said, it's fun.
Right.
I was listening to that, and I forgot about the name of the song, and I heard this, whatever song was coming on, I was just like, man, these words are killer. Like, this is a great song. And then I looked at the song title. I was like, oh, okay, there you go.
Yeah, man, I really like Disfigured on this one, and Bloodlands was really good.
Yep.
Orgasm Through Torture,
Yep.
I thought was cool. The whole record was cool though by me. So it'll definitely get some more plays as I, think about it for going to the record store.
I think, Butch and Darin, you guys bring up a good point about, music should be fun. And I think that George kind of plays into that. And I think a lot of the longevity that Cannibal Corpse has had should be paid directly to George, because in the live setting, I mean, he's fucking hilarious, man. He some of his one-liners on stage, or like, when he's doing the windmill, he's like, "You can't keep up with me, but you can try." And the last time we saw him too, he had a water bottle he threw out into the crowd. And he's like, "Who caught it? Who caught it?" And the kid's like, "Me." And he's all happy. And he's like, come here. We've got something for you. Come on up here. So they push this kid up to the crowd, and he's like, just elated, like, "Oh my God, it's the best night of my life." They bring him up, and he's in the photo pit, and George reaches down. He's like, "You got the water bottle? Let me see it." And he shows it to him. He's like, "Okay, here you go." And he reaches into his pocket, and he goes, "This is for you." Nothing. And everybody's like, it's so funny, some of the shit that he does, and it just gets the crowd that more into a frenzy because they're having such a good time. So
Chris Reeford from Autopsy is really funny too. He interacts with the crowd in much the same way you just described George Fisher does.
Yeah,
it's really funny.
Awesome.
Kind of witty.
I think that it makes it more intimate. Even if you're in a massive room, it just brings everybody closer together. Everybody's enjoying it and having a good time. So
That's
good.
That is so funny that he did that.
Oh, so fucking hilarious, man. We were just dying, But and the whole, "This is a song about," and the whole crowd's like, "Shooting blood from my cock."
That video clip of that on Instagram, everywhere you see all the security guys in the front, and they're like,
they turn around,
their eyes, and when he says that, when he does that, and they're kind of laughing when their head like, what the fuck did he just say?
right. All right, number 3 for me. Yeah, I was really happy when John threw this one out there too, because I hadn't listened to it in a long time. And I love Opeth. up until they decided to get real proggy. I just that part of their discography never stuck
I
with
figured
me.
I would love that era because I like 70s prog, but I guess I need to delve into that era more, to be honest. But
You know what? Butch and I were talking about this not too long ago too. I think I really need to like have a serious try at it again because I was like, nah, it didn't do a thing for me, nothing at
yeah,
all.
I kind of
But
felt the same way the few things I heard. Yeah.
yeah, I tried, but it just I was like, it just felt forced. That whole proggy part, and I know that Michael loves that stuff. I get it,
Yeah.
but under the banner of Opeth, it just never worked for me. Maybe it
I
should have been a
just feel
side project,
I
but
kind of feel like they. I mean, did they? I mean, I kind of feel like that proggy thing has always been there, though. It just
It has
what he
always
no,
been
changed.
it
there.
What he
no, it
changed was the
absolutely
vocals.
has. Yeah, it's just that they completely erased, or however you want to put it. They really stripped, the death metal side of Opeth down to absolute bare minimum, to almost non-existent, and just really let those intrusive thoughts take over, and they just went full
Yeah.
blast prog.
Which
It's
isn't
it's
even a bad thing, but he gets
no,
it
not
out
at
and
all.
yeah.
Yeah, but
But
like I
it's
said, for me, that's just not the Opeth I like or want. But anyway, Morningrise is my number 3 spot. For a lot of the same reasons that you guys had stated. I think it is the next stepping stone after Orchid. And for me, I think My Arms, Your Hearse is where they really came into their own. I feel like My Arms, Your Hearse, Still Life, and Blackwater Park are like the perfect trilogy. Those 3 albums are just flawless for me.
Agreed.
You can do no wrong. But I mean, they wouldn't have gotten there without Morningrise. I think the dual guitar and the harmonies really started to come into their own. You could see where it was developing, where it was going, and the light and the dark, playing off of each other was becoming, I don't want to say trademark Opeth, but stuff that
yeah.
they were known for. But To Bid You Farewell, the end of that
I
song,
love that. Oh my god.
oh,
I already have a time signature or a time setting set for what
do you?
part I'm going to talk about.
That's
You might even
yeah.
say the same part, but yeah, it's
Yeah, that's the centerpiece of that album for me. That song alone is worth the price of admission. So yeah, yeah. That was
kind
a
of doom.
damn
It's kind of doom too. It's got a little bit of doom metal
got a little bit in there.
because
Yeah.
of the slowness.
John, what do you think of the production? Because it's a Dan Swano album, and I've always felt he can be really good or he can be kind of
It's
so I don't
interesting that you say that because I was just listening to it again, and it depends on what source I'm listening to it on. Because I had heard it somewhere else where someone was playing it from a record or from something else, and it sounded even better. But where I was listening to it earlier today, it sounded a little bit subdued to me. But I usually remember cranking in my car back in the day when, in like '98 or whenever I picked up that album, because I first heard of Opeth on the Firestarter comp by Century Media. It was like it was a
wow.
black metal comp, and all
Yeah,
these bands were
Yeah.
categorized as black.
that was my introduction to them too. That
Yeah,
Firestarter CD.
and Advent and Nectar. Were it like two? Did they put 2 Opeth songs on there? And they were the longest songs on it. Maybe it was only one. I don't know.
I think
But
it was just one from Orchid,
it
from
was
the
one
album
from
Orchid.
Morningrise, I think. I
What
think it was
was it?
well,
Black Rose Immortal is like a super long song.
that
I don't
song
know
is
if that would have
amazing.
been on there, but
I think it was either Advent or Nectar. I don't know. But I went out that day. Yeah, that's how I also discovered Borknagard. I've discovered Enslaved, and all the an Emperor were on that. I don't know, whatever. But either way, going back to Opeth, the production. Yeah, what's weird? I feel like right out of the gate with Orchid and Morningrise, it's like they did the most melodic shit ever on those 2 albums. And even though they kind of, My Arms Your Hearse obviously was a little bit more less melodic in a way. And actually, I never really liked that one as much, but I like Still Life because that was back to the melodic again.
yeah.
And then Blackwater Park was like the bridge of everything, and then they
Yeah.
became like an upper echelon band. Like that album was more polished, and it had like all those elements bridged together probably the best possible way. But my favorite, and I'm just like going on a tangent right now, is a Damnation, the all acoustic album.
Yeah,
That album is actually probably, besides Morning Rise or Orchid,
Yeah.
Freaking
I saw
Damnation is phenomenal. It's so good.
That is a great album. It gives me a Morningrise. Damnation.
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
I
Hey,
saw them on that
In
tour. They
Ascension.
opened I think Cathedral opened for Opeth. And
Wait,
what was cool about it was, I mean, the Damnation was produced. They did two albums. One was
Deliverance and Damnation.
Deliverance and Damnation. They were both produced by Steven Wilson. And Steven
Porcupine
Wilson
Tree.
from Porcupine Tree, right?
Yeah.
But when I saw them, they were really good. I wasn't very familiar with them, but I got the Damnation album. That's the white one, right? Damnation is
With
that's the more folky
with
one.
the little girl. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's all
It's the mellow one.
Yep.
I love it more than probably I don't know, I like them both.
They
but
they
that-
did a cover of Soldier of Fortune. And Michael, how do you say his last name? Ackerfeld?
Ackerfeld, yeah.
He it was like an encore. And he's like, he almost apologetically said, I'm a big fan of White Snake. And he was saying this in front of, like, metal crowd, and some people were booing, some were like cheering, whatever. And he's like, in particular, the vocals of David Coverdale, and I just want to end the night with this one song that I just absolutely adore. It was on Stormbringer album, Deep Purple, and he sang a really, really cool version of Soldier of Fortune, and it sounded great. And I was really surprised to hear it that they put that in their set.
yeah. I saw them on that tour too, and I had no clue that that's what they were going to do, and I was so fucking bummed out because I hadn't seen them before, and I knew that the two albums had come out, but I thought they're going to play some of everything, and they only played that, and he's like, yeah, I mean, you guys, you might not know. I mean, we're actually a Swedish death metal band, and I was like, yeah, I fucking know. Things were ruining my night. I was so bummed out. It was cool because they were great, but I kept waiting for that part. It's like this cool acoustic stuff, and then oh nope, and then wait, nope. I'm like, oh damn it,
Yeah.
It was still cool. I'm glad I was there.
All that edging and no release.
100%. I left there with the biggest blue balls, death metal blue balls of all time.
I didn't see that tour. I've seen them like at least 4 or 5 times, but I must not have seen. I don't remember the all non-metal or non-death metal version. Yeah. Huh.
We on the Blackwater Park tour, we saw him at this dive bar in Milwaukee. It was the Globe East. And after the show, me and my buddy that we were sitting at the bar drinking, and Ackerfeld and God, who was the bass player at the time? Was it
Lopez? Yeah.
Lopez. We're sitting there, and Michael was pretty, he was talkative. We were just making small talk. He was really cool about it. But Lopez was just like sitting there staring like straight ahead, like barely even moving or talking or anything. And we were just kind of like, all right, man. And Warrell Dane comes around, and he goes and he looks at him, and he goes, pick him up and put him in a wax museum. He's done. And he was stoned out of his fucking mind.
Oh,
he just was like,
that explains it.
yeah, I mean, he might have gotten something else from somebody else, but he was just like catatonic. He wasn't responding to anything. So
he was looked up. Okay.
Yeah, it was funny.
Wax museum.
Oh,
I thought he was just being antisocial or something where he didn't want to like.
He was focused on the riffs for that night.
Yeah, because we were talking about all kinds of stuff, and he just kind of like,
Well, Michael Ackerfeld's like the encyclopedia of all prog stuff, so you could probably talk to him for a million years.
Forever. Yeah.
At one of the shows, like after they were done, I went up as if like I knew him for some reason, and I just yelled something like, "Hey, Indian Summer, Blackwater Park," like the band Blackwater Park that did that song. But he was just, I don't even know if he understood what I was saying, but he he greeted me in a positive way. But I don't know if he heard the reference, but I was trying to be all like, nerdy about it.
Dropping knowledge.
Yeah. But
okay, John, what do you got on your number 2?
Oh wow, back to me. Well, I'm gonna go with the same one, Opeth, Morningrise. You probably wonder why this is my number 1, because I love this album so much, but I'll talk about that later. So what did I not cover that I've already been talking to everybody about Opeth?
It's been peppered.
Hit the Opeth.
Just
The
edit it
Opeth.
all together, Mike. Just
Just edit it. Yeah, to bid you farewell, man. At 8:20, the most insane melody just comes out of nowhere,
Yeah.
and then it's like I was like, wow, And I almost forget because I haven't listened to this. I haven't listened to this album normally in a long time. And like there was a period in time, like from the late '90s, early 2000s, I was just like playing this album all the time with their other albums at the time. And my favorite version of the band, even though the first two guys, I've never seen them live, the original bass player they had on this album, I think he uses like a fretless bass and stuff, which you never really heard again after that, I don't believe. But I really do like the lineup, that came with the Mendez and Lopez lineup, and Johan Linderson. What's his name?
Yeah.
I love the second
Real
guitar.
tall.
His second guitar playing. I think that is Opeth. I think that maybe just after he left or something, I felt like that's where it was a turning point because I liked Opeth. I don't know. I liked them all the way up to. I think I got Ghost Reveries, and that was still mostly the band, but they added like an organ player, and I wasn't 100% into that album.
That was my kind of checkout point, if I'm being honest.
I feel like you're right. Like I don't know what it was. Something changed. I don't know what it was, but there was another one after that I checked out, Watershed, and I thought that was almost like a step back again. And it was like, oh, that kind of reminds me of like Opeth. But then after that, nothing else ever quite felt that way.
Yeah.
But I was very lucky to when the first time I really toured in America was like Blackwater Park, and I saw them in Syracuse at Lost Horizon with Nevermore. And was there a bunch with Shadows Fall on that bill?
Actually, when we saw them, it was just the two of them. There might have been a local band, but Shadows Fall wasn't on the show that I saw on that tour.
Okay. I could be mixing up shows, but yeah, definitely Nevermore. And I loved, oh my God, it was like so intimate because it was fairly packed. I mean, God, how many people would have been there? Like less than 200? Like, and that seemed packed for a show. Like, maybe 300? I don't know. But it like compared to like what would become later on,
I don't even think there was 100 people where we saw them at. The
Or
Glow of
maybe
the
you're
East
right.
was tiny.
It was, God, it could have been anywhere between 100 and 300. I don't know. I don't think it was a lot. But I was able to get fairly close. And I know that whenever they played the earlier songs, I was like so freaking excited. And just any of their material really was just amazing to see live. And then me and Nick were so excited. The first time I think me, Nick, and Mike Paleo went, we all drove up. I drove them up there. I might have been the only one with my license at the time. And then the next time, like a week later, we also saw them in Toronto on the same two. No, it was with Amorphous. They had a different band on it. Did they switch out bands?
Great.
Like on?
That's possible. I honestly don't remember.
But so that was cool too. And then, it's funny. I didn't really like Amorphous as much around that era, but it was cool to see them, obviously, because I was more into like the mid period, like Elegy, and then they just kept progressing, and when they got like a really good singer, it just didn't seem the same. But either way, but yeah, seeing Opeth in Toronto was amazing. In fact, the bass player had opened up the door for us when we were walking in. There was no one there yet, and like he held it open. I was like, "Oh, thanks," but I didn't. I was like, we were young and we were kind of shy, so we were thinking like, I think it was the bass player from Opeth, and like we felt bad we didn't talk to him. But now that you told me your story, maybe he would have never said anything.
Maybe.
But he seemed really nice, though. He actually was really cool, like from the transaction that happened there.
The
But
acid hadn't kicked in yet.
yeah, he just dropped it. And then we met these really cool, like we were in Toronto, so we met these like all these metal kids in line, and they were talking about like how like metal isn't that popular up here. And I go, yeah, it's not that popular in Rochester, New York right now because it's around 2001. You don't really see a lot of metal fans around, and there was like these two Polish kids. They were like from Poland, but they were living in Toronto, and they're both drinking 40s on the street. It was like it felt like a European vibe, and I was like, man, these kids are cool, And I don't know what else.
We'll list.
I had seen them like later. I had seen Opeth again like in 2003, but I can't remember who they played with. And then I might have seen them again in 2004. But
I
I've
think I
seen them at
saw him
least.
with, was that with Mastodon? I think I saw him with
Maybe it
Mastodon.
was. Yeah, maybe it was.
That might have been right around there, maybe a little later. I can't
Yeah.
remember.
There was like a time I went back in Toronto and saw them, and they were in a bigger venue by then. It was like, it changed drastically. Just in a couple years, they were playing way bigger
Oh
venues,
yeah.
and now they must be playing. I don't even know. I mean, I guess they did come around last year, didn't they? Opeth
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
did, and I bet you. I mean, it seemed like tickets are a lot more now. I mean, I wanted to go see them. I should have went, but it's.
They
I
were
think
here
I.
with Tribulation open for them here.
Oh, okay.
Was
Maybe that
great.
was one of the closest shows. Maybe it was either. I think it was Pittsburgh. I don't know if they played in Cleveland, did they? I don't even know, but because for us, we didn't get anything near us. Um, yeah. What else do I got to say about Opeth? Yeah, man. When I heard that song on Firestarter, though, I was like, this. I don't know, maybe it was just the band that finally clicked with me because I liked. We were getting into like all these bands that sounded like Maiden at the time in the mid '90s, and it was like it was a more extreme genre. So it was like bands that were melodic, like early Dark Tranquility or like early In Flames, and like um, what else was there?
Early Arch Enemy a little bit too.
Yeah, I never really listened to them as much, but I know all those bands in that realm. Edge of Sanity, whatever,
Mhm.
anything. I don't know. Swordmaster had a thing going on, but either any of these bands or like Dissection, any of these bands that had Maiden melodies, whether it's black metal or death metal, because a lot of these death metal bands were using those mid-range vocals at the time that sounded like black metal, and for some reason that was like right up our alley. And when Origin was starting, we had like there was definitely a new wave of British heavy metal influence, and we wanted to do doom because Ordru and the name came from Mount Doom. Because I looked it up at the time, I was like, oh, that's got to be a doom metal band, and we originally wanted to be like Cathedral, but then as we were listening to all these like melodic death metal bands, especially Opeth, I feel like that was the biggest influence by the time we did our first demo. So our demo material was totally more melodic, even though we had some doom metal on it, but then it made sense when I first time I heard Solstice, New Dark Age. I was like, wow, this sounds like stuff I want to do. Like this is like heavy metal, it's traditional. It's got melodies. It's kind of doom metal. It was almost like more than even like what Opeth was giving me. It's like Solstice brought it even more into the realm that I wanted to be in.
Yeah.
But either way, I'm going on a tangent and. Yep. So what's that? My number two.
That's
I don't
two.
really.
Yeah.
I don't think I have to say. I mean, we all know like freaking all these songs are awesome. I love every single song on this. The harmonies. I mean, all I could do is just say harmonies, melodies.
Yeah.
Um, maybe it is boring, but I don't. In my mind, it's like very emotional. Like when I showed my wife this band, she was like, "Oh, are they from California?" Because she probably gets these like surf guitar vibes from it or something because it's very melodic.
Yeah.
I don't know how she sees that, but
That's
maybe
the
it makes sense.
Swedish
The Swedish thing is like very like surf guitar. I don't know.
surf.
It's
Yeah.
yeah. But anyways, yeah. So that's all I gotta say about that. That's my number two. Yeah.
Okay, Eric, you're up.
All right. Well, I'll split the average, make the average here on our conversations about uh, Opeth. And I'll be brief on Motorhead because Motorhead number two. It it's a great Motorhead record. I mean, it's cool. It's great. I mean, if I can, like I said, always say, if I can lift weights to it and make it through a whole workout listening to the record or whatever, then it wins for me. And it's, it's got its filler. It's got filler in there and some cheesy kind of very pedestrian lyrics, I guess. I mean, not all lyrics have to be wonderful, but love can't buy you money. It's cool. I mean, it's a little cheesy. I thought, but man, the bass tone on there is cool on the record. That everything is cool. I mean, just that synergy, the three just sound great. And Civil War slaps. It was like fucking boom. Once I hear that, that's all I want to hear. And that record really saved my bacon on this 1996 deal because I'm like, fuck, man, really? that's all we had to offer in 1996. And again, this is just me, but yeah, Motorhead just saved the day for me because I got through a workout and went and listened to it again like a week later, gave it some time, came back to it, and I already knew the record, but I mean it was it's a great one. It's it's Motorhead. They can't really do horrible shit. Whoever his analogy was to that, it's an average Motorhead album is better than most other albums. So yeah, it was a winner for me. So it was a no-brainer at number 2 easily. Could have been number 1 maybe. I don't know. For reasons it's not, but it's Motorhead, which is enough reason to make it a number 1 probably just by default. But I went with number 2. So
All right.
yeah,
Darin's at number 2.
So I picked Opeth. I don't have nearly as much to say about it as everybody else. I think it's pretty good. Came up number 2 for me. I enjoy it. I'm not a huge fan, but I like what they do. I like the proggy stuff. It's not that often that I'm into listening to that kind of stuff, but when I am in the mood, it hits the spot. It's impressive to listen to. I think it's like pretty much, and I don't have all their stuff. I have Orchid. I have this is the second one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
then I have My Arms Your Hearse.
Yep.
Which interesting is that it's a we talked about Michael is it Agrafelt? Is that how you say his name?
I think so,
Ackerfeld?
yeah.
Yeah.
It's probably Okerfeld. It has a dot over the A, doesn't it?
Oh, maybe you're
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, probably does. He's being really into prog, and that line or the title for that album is a from the lyrics in the band Comus, which I don't know if you ever heard.
Comus, I've heard of them. Yep.
Comus.
Scary
Yeah,
record.
Eastern European band.
yeah. They
Got
really
like a
cool.
wolf on the cover of that album, right? It's kind of like a white background, like a hand
With a
drawn,
weird
like
guy
wolf
with
or
is it
something.
Jesus
Like
or-
Yeah,
like
Is
a
it like
linear drawing, like a charcoal drawing.
He's like a
Yes.
really weird
Yeah.
looking guy with long hair. Yeah.
yeah. You're
Yeah,
right.
but they're kind of obscure. They've gotten more popular now, I guess. And I think due partly because of I think the references that Michael Agrafelt has dropped and the popularity of Opeth, I think has like sort of, stimulated people's interest in some of the things that influenced Opeth, and this band Comus is one.
Yeah.
But I digress. Yeah, I mean, it's just cool. I mean, I'm not always in the mood to listen to that kind of stuff, but if I am, I want to pick the best. So, I mean, when I listen to Opeth, it's like I can relax knowing that it's all done extremely competently.
Yeah.
I'm looking behind you and seeing all the prog that you do listen to.
Yeah, well, you get the Genesis. So I have a lot of prog. I have a lot of prog stuff.
Rush, yeah.
Uriah Heep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Yeah, so I mean, I have an
But like you said,
appreciation
the
for
good stuff. You pick
I
the
like
good
how
stuff.
yeah, and I like how he's into Genesis and stuff, and
Cannibal.
obviously
Actor.
Steven Wilson from Porcupine Tree, total prog guy. He latched onto Opeth and had a partnership with Michael Agrafelt and did those 2 albums, and it also influenced Porcupine Tree because Steven Wilson's stuff was like kind of psychedelic in the beginning, and then it get into some Pink Floyd vibes and basic standard progressive rock 70s type stuff. And then Porcupine Tree started getting more metal. I think it was Tool, I think, influenced Steven Wilson, but also his friendship with Agrafelt, with Opeth. And then he, of course, produced those 2 albums, Deliverance and Damnation, and they're really cool. So, I mean, I like them. I think they're a good band.
That's funny when you say Tool. That's what I was thinking when I heard Blackwater Park is like, oh, hopefully it doesn't have those Tool aspects because I didn't like Tool, and I always thought bands that sounded like that reminded me of new metalish riffs. I don't know, maybe because I came from that era and that was a very popular band. I'm not saying anything against Tool because I know that maybe, obviously a lot of people respect them, but I just couldn't stand their influence in music. I don't know. I guess
Yeah.
but
It
even
depends.
though, yeah. Go ahead. I'm
It
sorry.
depends on when you became aware of Tool. I mean, it definitely. If I had gotten into Tool, well, my Tool story is that I've told a few times, but I got the promo. The guy that was promoting them was a guy named Steve Martin, not the actor comedian, but the guitarist from Agnostic Front. He was working for Relativity Records, and he was doing their P&R, and he gave me the promo for Helmet and for Tool,
Helmet.
and I listened to the Helmet first, and I liked the Helmet. But Tool, I was kind of turned off by the name, and it was for Opiate. It was, and I let it sit in the padded envelope for like months, and then I was moving out of my mom's house, and I was cleaning out my closet, and I like found it, and I'm like, oh, well, there's that Tool CD. Wow, what the hell? I'll put it in, and I was like, wow, this is really good. This is really cool. It's not what I expected at all. And then and I liked it, and that was before like Tool became, I guess, what people consider them now. You know,
Yeah.
dad rock or whatever the issue. It was before that.
Rock.
And
All
then I
our
got
stuff is dad
Undertow,
rock.
and then I got Undertow, and I really liked it because I mean, you can imagine like hearing Sober for the first time. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's different for everybody, but I really liked the album. I thought it was kind of
I
it was
didn't
kind of
necessarily.
proggy. It was just really
Yeah.
unique. And I like it, and I can't I like all their stuff. I mean, I'm not a huge fan, but I like them, and so you know, when Porcupine Tree started incorporating some kind of Toolisms, I didn't mind it. I thought it was cool, and it kind of gave Tool some credibility. I think I have a lot of respect for Steven Wilson, and I think if he likes something, then it probably has pretty good credibility. So
Yeah.
I got to open up for Tool on the opiate on that tour, on the opiate tour.
oh wow,
The promoter called my apartment and was like, does Dead Conspiracy want to play with this new buzz band called Tool? I'm like, who would play with someone called fucking Tool? Really?
no,
So you said the name. I was like, really? And they're like, yeah, they're like a buzz band. Like they're gonna be big. I was like, fuck it, we got nothing to do. Let's play it. And there was like 75 people there, and I didn't watch them. I like went home and got pizza or Popeye's chicken or something, and our friends all stayed for it, and they came back like, fuck, those guys were killer. I was like, no fucking way. They're called Tool. They're like, no, they're really good. I'm like, fuck that.
Yeah, I saw him in Philadelphia at a small club, and there was like it was a weeknight, I think, and it was right before or right around the time that Undertow came out, and there was only like maybe 50 people there, but I thought they were incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't. I mean, I had heard the album, so I knew, and I had the EP, so I knew what to expect. But I mean, they just like, you know, it wasn't a big production, but the albums were produced really well. But they pretty much created that sound on stage, and I was really impressed by that. And they had like some proggy things going on. It was really unique. I thought they were a really unique band for what was coming out at the time, which is like we're getting into like grunge and funk metal and stuff like that, which was kind of lame, but they were unique, and I thought that they brought something pretty artistic to the scene at the time.
Yeah, I fucked that one up. Not the first or last time.
Right, so number two is Opeth.
Number 2. Speaking of Tool, number 2 is
Number 2 for me is actually the album that I picked, which is Anathema. And it's like this album is kind of like it's one of those ones that is a classic bridge record.
Good way to put it.
You know, they go from the Silent Enigma and you know, follow it with this, and then from here they go on to Alternative 4, which is you know, I think when they really started, you know, they started to pick up more popularity around the time. You know, I think they're getting a little bit more notoriety around the time of Eternity, but then with Alternative 4, things started to like heat up for them a little bit, and then you know, into Judgment. Those are probably I mean, as much as I love the Silent Enigma, I think my 2 favorite records by the band are Alternative 4 and Judgment. I just love that era of the band. Eternity, I always wanted to like more than I did. I really like it, but there's something. It's a there's something just a hair off with it compared to. I think what it is for me is it just the two records that followed it have like they progress on in that style. The death metal vocals are gone, and they're latching on. They're shorter songs for the most part. They're latching more onto. There's a creeping Pink Floydism that's coming in. That you'll see more as the band progresses even further than I ever wanted them to in their catalog. But there's more melody coming in, and Eternity falls kind of like in between there, and it feels like a record that maybe it would have been, in some ways, it might have been smart to. It's like it's a record where they just jumped. They were like, we want to change things, and we're just gonna dive into it. They didn't bother like segueing even more with the vocals. They went from Darin White to to Vincent doing the rougher stuff mixed with that Tom Warrior kind of thing to like this clean. And then it got cleaner as it went on. In fact, we saw them at Roadburn back when we played in 2015. Yeah, it was 2015. And Kevin or someone was saying he was coming from behind from the backstage area, and the band was like all doing their vocal warm-ups and stuff like Hartman. They had a bigger band at the time, and the tour they were doing the show they were doing at the time was a retrospective of their career.
Oh wow.
I'm pretty sure Darin came out and sang with them. They did, and they went went backwards. I think they played like the newer stuff and then went back to the older stuff. They tried to touch on all eras. They were great live. They've gotten to be, they've grown so much as musicians and as singers and writers, but at some point I did fall off with them. I think once we got past the Fine Day to Exit, I was kind of like, I was to the point where I'm like, I wish they would remember where their guitar amps were. And, they were still using electric guitars, but it was like, there was nothing that rocked at all.
Clean channels.
Anymore. It was all like, you got to like weather systems and stuff. It's real like Floydy and, like lush kind of sounding, but Eternity, like I like it. And the more I listen to it, but the more I do like it. I reacquainted myself with it, obviously doing this, and that's one of the reasons I picked it, is because it gave me a good excuse to go back and check it out again, because it's one of those records like I'd go back to it and surprisingly, with how much I like the Silent Enigma and how much I like Alternative 4 and Judgment, you figure that record right in the middle there would scratch that itch, but it never ever did in the same way. It did it more for me this time. I don't have a hell of a lot to say about it. I just, I like the record. I think it's good. I like some of the ideas they're bringing in. I think it gets a little bit samey at times. That being said, like I could put this on and still it's a good, like the flow to it is cool. And I love that cover of Hope that they did. That was like a Jimmy Page, Roy Harper thing, I guess. That Gilmore had it. Someone brought up Gilmore earlier. He helped write the song, and there's that whole spoken word thing at the beginning, which I think is cool.
That was a cool song.
Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah, it's a cool,
I think
like
the
I
album
said,
is very inspiring.
I like their it's one of those records. I think their execution, their ideas, kind of like were just beyond the reach of their execution with this one in terms of the writing on it. Like to keep me like to keep it from being like my number one of this stack. And and it's like middle of the. I don't like their death metal stuff. Serenades and Crestfallen, I don't really like at all. Pentecost, I like. I especially love We the Gods on Pentecost 3. Like that song is like, it makes that change in the middle. It's like, holy shit, like that is killer.
Yeah.
I got to go back and re-listen to those. I first bought Serenades on cassette. Like, remember Farmore? Do you remember that chain?
Yeah.
PHARMOR.
Yeah.
They didn't have like cheap cassettes, and they had. I'm like, Anathema. I think I heard of them before. This is metal. It was like $1 or something, so I bought it. I was like, this is not for me. Like there were some things in it that I was like, you could hear like some of the Frost influences, and there's some of the Doom in there, but it was like that. Some of the earliest records by that Peaceville 3 group of bands, Paradise Lost and Anathema and My Dying Bride, like it's like too deathy for me. But I mean, they're great bands. I wish they're sadly broken up, and they're just one of those bands I kept hoping they would go. You hope are going to go back to the vibe you really fell in love with, and they never do. And it's always like, but I'll always like listen to something when they put it out. Just in the back of my mind, I keep thinking, well, maybe they remembered to turn their amps up more this time. But talented bands. And I like like I said, I like the record. Number 2.
I guess I'll throw my 2 cents in for my number 2 because it's also Eternity, Anathema. I guess I should preface this by saying, like you just brought it up, Butch, like those Peaceville 3. I've always thought the 3 of them were kind of interchangeable. I'm not saying they're not incredible bands because they are, but I don't know. I never was like really like, oh my God, there was never that immediacy to have to listen to them like a lot of people seem to have at the time.
I love 2 of the 3 of them.
Okay, who's 3? Who's the one you're not big
Well,
on?
the ones I like, there was that time period in the mid 90s where it was like Anathema and Paradise Lost. I was really into.
The first Paradise Lost is awesome. Like
I hate that record's
the
terrible.
tone is amazing.
It's super heavy, but it's terrible.
I like the they use the lady
Bring it on.
solid state amp, but I'm not a defender of that band at all, so I don't care.
Their career starts for me with Gothic. Like that record is killer.
Yeah.
But anyway,
I love that record.
I like My Dying Bride, but just I never liked them as much as
like Gods of the Sun.
Like I
Gods of
played
the Sun
I played the shit out of Draconian Times and Icon and Shades of God and those few Anathema records I was talking about before. But like My Dying Bride, like Gods of the Sun, I did listen to a lot.
Well, you know what? I went back to that one and I thought I would like it as much as I did. And you know what? It just doesn't feel like when I hear them singing like these like emotional parts. It's like when I hear Warning, I can feel Warning now. Maybe as I get older, I can still relate to Pat Walker, but I can't relate to Aaron Stythrop, or whatever his name is, Stythorpe. I don't know how to say his name. I can't relate to his emotions anymore. I don't know why. He seems like more cheesier. I don't know.
For My Fallen Angels, one of the saddest songs
maybe I should
you'll
maybe
ever
I
listen to.
Oh, that no, I know that song. Yeah. That maybe that one. I don't know. But
it was more
I'm
effective
such
at
a
a
simple
particular
dude,
time,
man. I just
and then they
don't-
kind of. Okay.
What's that?
Go ahead, Darin.
I think My Dying Bride was very effective at a particular time when the Peaceville 3 thing was, when that stuff was pretty new. I don't think he's in the band anymore. I think he
He's
parted
not.
ways.
Yeah.
He's gone? Yeah, I heard that recently, which is kind of surprising because I thought it was his band. I talked to him back in the day. I did an interview. He was super cool. He did an interview for like 2 hours. He was drunk, but he was really funny, and he didn't answer any of my questions hardly. He was just going on tangents and things like that. But it was one of the best interviews ever because he was so fun. And I
That's
really
cool.
liked the band, so I was like, I was really into it. Like, oh boy, this guy's really cool, and he's drunk.
He sings on a song on the latest Godfrey record. I just, we just put that interview up with Hamish Glencross last week,
Yeah.
and Aaron sings on one of the songs on there. It sounds, it's killer.
Cool.
Did you see them on the Dio tour back in '97? My
I've
Dying
never
Bride.
seen them. That
I
I can
never got to
recall.
see them either.
He toured with Dio in '97. It was like for the Gods of the Sun album, and that was the first time I had seen them live. And I bought their CD immediately after watching them because I thought it was the first time really seeing a doom metal band for me, baby.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't think I don't think I've seen anything because I liked COC at the time, Monster Magnet. I like some of those bands and Cathedral, but Cathedral hadn't been around to tour at the time. So yeah, I think that My Dying Bride might have been the first technically doom band I saw, and just the violins alone, just that was hard. That will move your heartstrings, yeah, for
Yep.
sure.
The doom metal scene, it's kind of weird because at the time when I really started getting into it, was about the end of 1990, 91, I guess. And Cathedral, the first Cathedral was like Doom Death. I mean,
Hmm.
by
Yeah,
comparison to other things, but then they gradually got into the groove aspect and incorporating, like, I mean, they're always into Sabbath. You can always hear that.
yeah,
But by the time the EP came out in Soul Sacrifice, I mean, it was more like
uplifted or more.
new wave of British heavy metal, more grooving, and it kind of moved away from that. And then I remember, all of us, the COTD thing,
Hmm.
Butch,
Yeah.
remember that? And it was like a reaction against Gothic death doom, Albert
Yeah,
and Kimmy and the Reverend Bazaar guys hated that stuff. And, of course, Rich Walker was all anti-Gothic doom death. And likewise, it was sort of like this nebulous thing like doom, and people were stoner rock was sort of in doom, and it was like it just got kind of convoluted. So it was like, I guess some of us felt it was necessary to make this distinction of what traditional doom metal was and what it's supposed to be, and it shouldn't be this and it shouldn't be that. And the point is that all of it was kind of together at one point, but then it got too confusing, too
yeah,
convoluted, and then somebody felt that there was a need to draw the line through the center and say, no, this is what doom is. This is traditional doom, and it should be like this, and should
yeah.
incorporate these elements, and not this. It shouldn't be stoner rock, and it shouldn't sound like Monster Magnet. It shouldn't sound like COC, and it shouldn't sound like My Dying Bride or
Yeah,
Paradise Lost.
Yeah. I feel like some of that COTD thing was a reaction to as well. If you looked at some of the
well, at the
doom metal
time,
sites at the time, like the folks on the other side of it, like the folks into like the Peaceville style, like the doom death stuff, they were like, "This is doom metal." Like, what the,
Yeah.
Yeah,
they're
there
like
was
funeral doom and stuff like that was doom
got
metal. It's like that's not fucking Cathedral. That's hard rock, or
well,
Those
yeah,
low
that's
ride
not
Death
that's
forums
Doom
not
was
got
doom
very
heated
metal.
on that shit.
popular.
well,
Gothic,
actually, John,
romantic, all that was very
John,
popular.
you were there when that whole COTD
I was
thing.
there.
It
I was
was
a
They
part
have
of
the
that.
logo on
Yeah,
their records, man.
Albert and
yeah. I
Tom,
think I made logos. I did all kinds of stuff. Yeah.
yeah, that all
Well, you
transpired
know what's
over
funny?
at Jason's house.
As soon as Origin made a demo, and I started showing Tom Phillips and all you guys, I was like, "Oh, what
Yeah.
does my band sound like?" And you're like, "You sound like traditional doom." And I was like, "Oh, what's that? Like a singer that sounds like Rainbow? Like I don't know, like traditional
Which
doom."
rainbow?
Yeah,
Or Druid sounds like Joe Lynn Turner era Rainbow.
yeah, you may not be wrong.
Yeah.
Graham Bonnet era. But obviously I was already getting like Candlemass and Saint Vitus and Trouble, and those seemed like traditional doom bands, So I had never seen any of those bands in the '90s because I mean, by the time I was getting into doom metal, was like I read a review of Die Healing in Metal Maniacs. You guys probably all had that issue, and I remember going out and buying the first St. Vitus album in like '95, '96, and I picked up Die Healing. I got into Candlemass. So around '96 is really when I started acknowledgingly like I want to get into doom metal, and I heard about Candlemass,
Mhm.
and I went back to my 1993 issue of History of Heavy Metal, which was put out by Metal Maniacs. You go through all the genres, and that was like my way of finding bands back then, or just
Yeah, I
reading
remember
them.
that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and like that was my encyclopedia in those days. And nowadays, it's like kids just look up the whole genre online, and they
Yeah.
can get into every band. Paul Chain, I didn't know. I mean, I read about Alcahest when it came out. I wanted to get it. I didn't know what it sounded like. I didn't. There were so many things you read about. And But
You guys are so freaking cool. I learned so much stuff from you guys. Like I mean, I have a general rule that I don't typically listen to bands that have more than 2 words in their name. So, I mean, I will be 100% transparent. I wouldn't know My Dying Bride from My Chemical Romance.
totally different. Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course they are
Yeah.
different, especially
Yeah,
my
yeah.
original. I was like, no
Yeah.
clue they were new. I thought they were like a new metal band that fucking some
Same
shitty new
emo.
metal band. Like I thought they were
Same.
like I don't know, Hate Breed or something. I had no clue. You guys, I'm like, fuck, now I got to go listen to these guys. But I mean, to me, like Doom was Candlemass, and then Trouble, and then I was like, okay, cool. I think I've experienced what you can do with Black Sabbath outside of Black Sabbath.
Yeah.
And clearly there was a lot more to be said, and I didn't become a part of that. But now I got to go do more research, and I'm simplifying. There's more. I mean, I know Saint Vitus, and I know
Well, like back
bands, but
yeah, Witchfinder General. Like back
But
then, like I would be
and my
talking-
friend Nate is in Witch Mountain here in town.
Oh yeah,
so
yeah.
like
He's
I like
cool,
them. You know, but
Yeah.
they're local guys, you know, but I feel like all I know is that now Doom is, a lot of people say it's, you know, like you don't want to mention it because it's been done so hard. And so when my band Sleepless gets called progressive Doom, I'm kind of like, okay, say what you want. I have no fucking clue because my repertoire or my you know Rolodex of doom metal is pretty small, you know.
Well, you know, it's like in the early 2000s when I met like a lot of the people in Darin's group, you know, or like Tom Phillips and all these different people. And like, not many people talked about like St. Vitus and Trouble anymore and all these bands. So I felt like now it's like normalized because a lot of the younger generation have gotten into all traditional doom as a genre before, you know, now traditional doom is considered something, you know, but back then, you know, that maybe that's why we were still part of a resurgence or the last era in the mid 2000s of like how doom metal was kind of hitting a certain level, and then maybe then after a while, like the bands that started sounding like bands came out. You know, after Warning did Watching from a Distance, all these bands wanted to sound like them, or you know what I mean, like or
Yeah,
Reverend
that's
Bizarre or something.
Another
Well, it was
generation of it.
It was really cool when we did your festival, John. What was it, in 2005?
2003.
2003, wow.
So that's
And
the
remember,
second time you've been in
there's still
Western New York.
pictures. We were all crammed into that hotel room,
Yeah.
remember? And Butch
Yeah.
had Butch
Yeah.
hair is dark.
I know. And I
We
was
all had
about
darker hair.
50 pounds lighter.
Tom Phillips was in leather pants and a leather jacket. And that's when he was like he was drunk as shit.
Falling
we
asleep
propped
against
him
the
in a
wall.
corner.
against the wall.
And we had beer cans stacked on top of his head to the ceiling. And I took some photographs of that. But I mean, it was really cool because I mean, that's when, like you said, John, you know, you couldn't find a lot of people that were familiar with like Penance and Vitus. And I'll put Penance in the same
Sports, whatever,
level as
yeah.
like Vitus because, you know, it's in around that Count Raven
Yeah.
and whatnot. And here we all were, and we you know, there was like this kinship, and we were playing for one another. And I think that's all we were doing. It's like everybody there was just we were
In
playing for
another
each
band.
other. I mean,
Yeah.
all the
Yeah.
bands were playing for each other, but it was really
Bands
cool.
playing for bands.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't know. I mean, I think you guys helped a lot with who I picked. I mean, Tom Phillips. I don't even know. And Soul Preacher played. You know, the Soul Preacher, Pale.
Guys were dicks.
Obviously, you guys.
Revelation.
Nah, they were dicks.
Oh, were they? Okay.
Sorry. I just didn't. Nah, this singer,
Oh,
I don't
wow.
like him. He was a
Soul Preacher?
Oh wow.
dickhead.
Yeah, I even
I don't remember meeting them.
They were cool with me, but I don't know. Maybe.
Who was the band that the kid was wearing the Leslie? The kid had the Leslie West Mountain T-shirt on. I don't know if he was in one of the bands.
the band Unearthly Trance.
Oh
Maybe.
yeah.
Yeah, they were there, and then yeah, you guys.
Well, that started that whole thing of all of our bands getting matriculate over to Europe over the next 2 years. Like,
Oh, Revelation with with
Don.
yeah, the second Frozen Mascara. Yeah. Wow.
did you say mosque?
Yeah. What did I
It's
say?
mask.
Mask. Oh my God. I have no credibility. That's my album I'm making.
That's right. When I was interviewing Hamish Glencross, I called the Peaceville 3 the Birmingham 3. Real slick. I had to put an edit up in my fucking video because I look like an idiot.
Oops. Shit
It
happens.
Yeah.
Was I'm still. Where are we?
That was a tangent.
Really,
I don't know.
Yeah, what were we talking about?
We're on our number 2.
Are we still talking about
It's your number 2 now.
I got you.
We were just talking. Oh, you were talking about Anathema, and we got you totally off track.
Well, no, I think I asked you, or we started talking about the 3 and whatever.
You asked.
Anyway,
You asked what. You asked what
third,
John thought about the production.
You said you liked.
And he went right off into each of the albums or something.
Okay, I'll make it quick. Eternity. Actually, that's another one I'm happy to revisit. Like somebody was saying, it's cool that we get together and throw these albums out because it's a chance to revisit. But I remember getting this album, really liking it, and then I put it on the shelf and I didn't go back to it for a long time. So it was cool pulling this one back out, and I remember how much I did like it. I think, Butch, you're right. I think this album was a case of too much too soon. I don't think anybody was really ready for what was coming, especially if you enjoyed what came prior to. But I love, like John was saying too, how it tugs at the heartstrings and it's full of emotion. Far Away is just brilliant. I like Kavanaugh's voice. I think a little bit of an acquired taste, but if you listen to it in the confines of the way the songs flow, I think he's made for it. Yeah, a lot of keys that were up front for this album. I think might have caught people off guard, but it worked for me. I am a sucker for good, emotional music that'll really put you in a mindset and a headspace. So I'll leave it at that. That was my number 2. Okay, everybody's on number 1.
All right. I hope I don't run.
Let's have it, John.
Hope I don't run out of juice here.
Here come the notes.
Oh boy.
Oh, I don't even need notes. Okay, so Motorhead, obviously, Lemmy is God. I hate to make that reference, but that's why he's number 1. I couldn't resist. The album is awesome. It kicks ass. It was a nice departure from everything else we listened to. And I saw Motorhead at a small place, a Penny Arcade, in 2003 or something, and it was packed. It was overcrowded, and I can't believe I got to see like Lemmy that close, almost up front. And I guess I heard he hung out all night till 4 a.m. playing one of those game machines that he does. But we were already gone by then. But anyways, yeah, freaking Motorhead rules. I've seen them a few times. Ever since my first album I ever bought by them was a vinyl back in the mid '90s, which was what's Sharpshooter on?
Sharpshooter's on Ace of Spades.
No, or Dead Men Tell No Tales. I can't think of the name.
Bomber.
Bomber, yeah, I love that album. So I just couldn't remember the name because I'm spacing out right now. So yeah, that was the first vinyl I bought by them. I liked the original lineup the best, of course, but it was cool that they went back to a 3-piece for this era, and I enjoyed the whole album. You know, sure, there's a little bit of filler in there too, but the main song I want to talk about is frickin' Shake the World. The intro to that, Darin, you probably appreciate that intro. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Like, I wasn't even expecting that. Yeah. And maybe it's like King Diamond style, I don't know, or whatever. It's more of a modern, extreme type of style playing.
Yeah, Mickey D was it's kind of weird how he came into the band. He wasn't. I mean, he's credited with being on
Sacrifice.
What was that?
Sacrifice? I think he's credited on that one.
Well, that was actually the first album that he played on entirely. The album before that was mostly
Bastards.
No, that was the album.
Sacrifice came before Overnight, right? If I have my
Bastards was before Sacrifice. I think
he was on Bastards. Sacrifice was before Overnight, and Bastards was before that. And
March or Die was before that.
March or Die was the one where he came into it, but I think he only played on like 1 or 2 songs, and Tommy Aldridge plays on the rest. But his picture was part of the promo.
Wow, I did not know that.
For March or Die. Yeah, but Tommy Aldridge plays on most of the album, if not all the album. I think. No, you know what? Mickey D plays on that one of the. I think it's the last song on the album, but Tommy Aldridge is on the rest of it.
Wow.
But yeah, I mean, I thought it was a strange. I like Mickey D. Wow, that's strange. I mean, Tommy Aldridge is maybe I don't know that kind of made more sense than Mickey D. Mickey D's like double kicked. I mean, Phil Taylor was double kicked, but Phil Taylor was like a punk rock drummer. I mean,
Yeah.
Mickey D's a metal drummer. He's metal double kick out the wazoo. Like
yeah, he's gonna take advantage of it. Yeah,
I didn't see that coming, but I mean,
It worked.
It worked. Obviously, I mean, fit in really well. So.
Yeah, I liked it. I liked it a lot. I don't have a lot to say about it. I liked every song. I don't know. I liked it a lot. I think I'm down to 10%. I might have to go plug in my phone in a second.
I was just gonna say I'm gonna have to do that too. I'm getting down. I'm at 13.
All right.
Okay, well, I can just let it go. Let's see what happens.
This is like the tantric ranking table.
It is.
Last one live is the winner.
All right, Eric, you're up. Number one.
I'm up. Okay. Well, obviously it's Overnight
Did I
Sensation.
say Darin? I meant Eric. Eric, did you already go?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Maybe you should go since you just showed it.
Okay.
We're
Now
falling
that you
apart
whipped
here,
it
folks.
out, you might as well talk about it.
Overnight.
As
I'm not
if
gonna say
there
much
was
because
any question.
Yeah, I can't say much. I
How did you
like
ruin
that.
my night?
I'm sorry. All right. Well, anyway, real quick. It's not my favorite Motorhead album, but I like it more than the March or Die was kind of a low point, and they gradually started to work up ever so slightly. Each album after that was like a little bit better than the one before, but I think Overnight Sensation was when, to me, things got really back on track. The songwriting got better. And I think that was a result of the chemistry. I think Lemmy works better with that three-piece lineup. And I think it all basically distilled down to Mickey, Phil, and Lemmy, and I think that's when things started to really reignite. And I think from that point to the end, every album was great. I like them. I could see they're kind of like the Ramones in a way. I mean, the Ramones sound like the Ramones on every album. They keep making the same album over and over. And Motorhead kind of did that too. But there'd be like one or two songs that might throw a left curve into the situation, like an Orgasmatron song or Thousand Names of God or one of the offbeat kind of songs. But generally, I mean, they kept it pretty consistent. Lemmy said Motorhead was rock. We're Motorhead. We play rock and roll. And it was loud, but it was still rock and roll. It wasn't really metal. You could call it metal, but it was rock. It was heavy rock. And I think when they got back to the three-piece thing, whether it be, Lemmy, Robertson, and Taylor, or Lemmy, Eddie Clark, and Phil Taylor, or it be Phil Campbell, Mickey D, and Lemmy, I think the three-piece thing is what really works, and they're back to a three-piece on this album. And I mean, it really works for me. I like the album a lot. And I do. And one last thing, and you guys know that the Vinyl Nation thing that Mike and I do. I think you guys are, maybe with the exception of Eric. Are you on the Vinyl Nation Facebook page? No, okay.
We'll get you on there.
Every year I do a Motorhead in December. I do Motorhead every album once for every day in December because it's when Lemmy was born. It's when Lemmy died. So I always revisit these albums every year, and it's really a fun thing to do. And
I always look forward to that. Always look forward to that. It's like part of like Christmas spirit now. It's like, and Darin's got the Motorhead stuff coming up.
December 1st, Motorhead, first Motorhead album.
Christmas spirit. I like it. That's fucking great.
We'll jump back over to Eric. What you got for your number?
Sorry about that.
Well, I have a Motorhead story, but it's totally off base, but we've been doing plenty of that today. But back in my day, like it was 1981 or something, my first experience with Motorhead, I hadn't heard them, but my friend came to school. I said we were probably 6th grade or something, and his older brothers and sisters took him to see Motorhead, Def Leppard, and Crocus. and he was talking about, he's like, oh man, Crocus came out, Long Stick goes boom, and he's singing and stuff. And then Def Leppard, he was talking about how amazing Def Leppard was. And then he goes, and then the last band came out, and the lights, it was fucking killer, like swirling lights, and this whole day in the fog machine, it was great. And the music there was heavy. Then the singer started singing. He sounded like he had a fucking Brillo pad in his throat. And it was horrible. It sounded like he was choking on a turd, and we left.
Oh my god!
That was my first. Someone mentioning over Motorhead to me, but I never forgot it because I remember then as soon as I heard him, I was like, he's fucking crazy. These guys are amazing. But that was my buddy Jeff. That was anyway. So, like 1981 was that? What year would that been? I mean, was that Def Leppard's first tour in America? Anybody?
I think well, it's weird because 1981 would have been Ace of Spades, and I know the big tour for Motorhead at that time was with Ozzy on Blizzard of Oz.
Okay.
So I'm not sure how Crocus said Long Stick Goes Boom. That was One Vice at a Time, and I'm pretty sure that was 1982.
Yeah, maybe it was 82. Well, I graduated from middle school in 83, so it would have been 81 or 82.
Okay, so 82 would have been that would have been for Iron Fist.
Okay.
And I guess I didn't know that they toured for. I mean, I remember them touring, coming around here for Ace of Spades, and then not again until Another Perfect Day. I don't remember them coming around, but I mean, they may have. I mean,
yeah, Portland, Oregon.
They toured.
Yeah, they came out here and fought the covered wagons out in the Oregon Trail. Where are you going?
I have to go find a charger.
That's hilarious. Taking us to the bathroom. We're in for an experience.
Oh my god, where am I going?
Okay, well, John goes to the bathroom. My number one is Cannibal Corpse Vile. And this, again, one of these things where I didn't want my pick to be number one. And it almost wasn't, but I just really like it too much for it to not be number one. And the only reason it wouldn't be is because it's not my favorite Cannibal Corpse record. But it's I think it's an amazing album. And yesterday I did a little deep dive on it because you guys were talking about the other title and stuff, and I was just kind of I don't remember why I started looking. I think I wanted to see who produced it. I was like, oh yeah, well, that was pretty obvious. But I was like, maybe it wasn't surprise me, right? But I started seeing all the conversation in there about Chris Barnes being kicked out and then bringing George Fisher in. And all I remember from that time was, I really don't spend that much time lifting weights, but I was lifting weights with my friend in my basement, and we put on the Vile album, and I about shit my pants. Like, I was like, this is Cannibal Corpse, because I did not like them at all before that. And I didn't like the Mike Swallower vocalists. I loved my death metal. I just didn't like the guys that sound they were cupping the microphone. And and I was like, yeah, he has like an organic, it's like, I mean, I don't even know, I'm not a singer, but I don't know if it's like a diaphragm type thing, but the way he emotes his lows and his highs, it all has like this equal power that's like projects in this way that's so fucking cool. And when I was reading somewhere on the internet, it might have just been Wikipedia, but it was talking about how he came in to record because the songs had already been recorded. 7 of them been recorded by Chris Barnes. And he said that he was clamming at first. And he was like, I'm going to lose my shot. And he went in the bathroom and took a break. And then he came back out. And he said the first thing he did was the scream right at the beginning of the record, which is a fucking absolute ultimate scream to me. Like, Danny fucking Filth needs to take a lesson on that's how you get shit done, son. But so Devoured by Vermin and Mummified Barbed Wire are like just 2 of my favorite Cannibal Corpse songs ever. So those win it for me. But I could just kind of feel like it was definitely a turning point for the band when I was talking about transitions at the beginning here. And like all of a sudden I liked Cannibal Corpse you know, I didn't like them again before that. I think like the last straw for me was when they did that cover of Zero the Hero.
Oh
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I was like, oh fuck. And they do like an AC/DC cover or something too, or did he do that with 6 Feet Under?
Yeah,
It stank.
I think that was 6 feet under, but I don't know. But I
It
know what
might
you're
have
talking
been.
about.
I
Yeah,
mean, how do you suck the groove out of fucking AC/DC? I mean, just come on, man. It just wasn't good. And anyway, George Fisher is definitely one of my favorite you know, death metal vocalists, I guess. And yeah, it does seem like a cool guy. I've never met him. I've gotten to know just a little bit Alex Webster because he lives here now, and he's super awesome. And but George with his doing the claw machines and
Yeah, that's
donating the
awesome.
toys to kids is pretty fucking rad. And you know, I've always dug that. And I just kind of like the fact that when he talks, he just seems like a regular dude. Like, you know, like, yeah, I don't really write the lyrics because I've got a wife and 2 daughters and I don't want to think about that shit happening to them. So
Yeah.
I just sing the songs, you know, and you're like, oh, I remember, I'm paraphrasing, but I remember reading something like that. And I was like, oh, that's cool. I'm the same way, you know, I love the extremeness of it, but
Sure.
I like that, you know, we don't have to take ourselves so seriously, you know. And but the music on the album fucking crushes. I think Darin said it was a you know, like one of you guys said it was another step, I think, for them technically. Yeah, they went from
yeah.
being being what they were to like, and I think it seemed like from what I was reading that that's what they were kind of saying, that Chris Barnes' vocals just weren't cutting it for what the music they were writing. Like he couldn't just phone in those type of vocals, that they wanted a better rhythmic pattern. They wanted lyrics that fit. And then they tried to say like, hey, let's help you with the lyrics, Alex and Paul. And they're like, let's help you. And he's like, no way, you're going to fuck with my poetry. And, you know, and they were like, well, it needs something else. This isn't working.
Mm-hmm.
It just isn't going to be the level this album should be. And then he walked out of the studio, and then they called him and said, you're out or some shit. So, and I think that, what's his face, Rob Ording, you know, since he was friends with Corpse Grinder, was like, this is the guy. So yeah, and I went back and listened to Devoured by Vermin with Chris Barnes vocals, and it wasn't anywhere near as good. It didn't have any type of hooks or anything. It just wasn't great. So anyway, you know, my favorite album by them, if you were Butch, I think you were talking about, weren't you, about listening to some, was it Butch who was saying that?
Yeah, it was me.
Yeah, I mean, Gallery of Suicide is my favorite album of theirs. It's got the most emotive, it's like the most emotional record. I think it just draws you into like a very dark space, but also like makes you want to fucking get in the pit and knock somebody out. Like it has all the energy you need, like melancholy, sullen death metal with also a ton of aggression. Yeah, that's album. If I'm stuck, I'll put that on and I'm good to go. Yeah, so there you go. That was my number one, Cannibal Corpse Vile.
Awesome.
Cool.
All right, Butch.
Sorry, by the way, Eric. I didn't mean to I wasn't trying to be rude or anything. I was just like, my computer was definitely about to go down. And
No, you guys, you got to do what you got to do, man. We're playing through.
yeah,
I don't know if mine may not even work. I don't know.
the album I was thinking of by Cannibal Corpse that I really liked before was Torture, and then
that's a good record.
I also picked up closely between, you know, I like that one a lot. So then I think I picked up Global Evisceration. I didn't like that one near as well. So I'm gonna have to go through and listen to them again, because like I said, like I was really digging Vile and
Gallery of Suicide.
Yeah.
Is that what's the newest one?
I don't
Anyone?
What's it called?
I like the new one. It's good. They're consistent, you know.
Chaos Horrific.
Yeah, I like this one.
Yeah, my cat's like got her claws into me and won't let go. Damn it. Jesus. She loves me. I don't know why. So
Uh-oh.
we just
Sounds
lost
out
John.
of juice.
Boom.
He did his number one though, didn't he? He did.
He
Motorhead
did.
was his number
Motorhead,
one. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
It was like, this is my number one now. Piss off.
Yeah. He's like, I'm done with you guys.
And I'm out.
Yeah.
My number one is obviously Opeth, Morningrise. I went back and forth with my number one for a bit. Actually, I had like at one point, actually, Motorhead was in my number one spot. And then as I listened to them, I kind of just like made its way backwards a little bit again, not because it's not killer, but I don't know. The Morningrise album, I just listened to it again today and I was like, man, it made me, it's the Opeth record that I think actually, for whatever reason, up until we started, we picked our records. Like, I think I maybe listened to it once before, if that. I'd listened to everything else, and like this one, Morningrise, like cemented for me that Opeth has never made a bad album, as far as I'm concerned. And I really like I like all eras of the bands. What drew me to them initially was someone had recommended My Arms, Your Hearse to me years ago. And honestly, like, I didn't love it at the time. Like, I thought it was cool, but the vocals were kind of like, Michael's voice wasn't acquired taste for me, not being a big death metal guy. But the thing I do like about him over the years is his ability to balance those gutturals with that super clean, like, voice that he has, super melodic. And what's amazing about him is seeing him do it live and not lose his voice.
Yeah.
And be able to sing like that all night. Like, it is incredible. And I just think he's always been good at coming up with keeping things interesting in terms of the melodies. Musically, I think they're, incredible. Like, just like so many great riffs and twists and turns. And I love the prog element when it creeps in. I will say that I think that I might like Orchid a little bit more than Morningrise. Of the earlier ones, Morningrise is probably, despite it being number one here, it's probably towards the bottom of my ranking for them overall. But I still think it's great. Like, I think they, could learn to, I think as you get to know Opeth, or when you get into Opeth, you learn very quickly that they're not a band that knows the self-edits very well. And I don't know that it doesn't usually work again. I don't feel like ever listening to one of their songs is a chore where it's like, oh my God, like, I can't believe this song is still going. Like, I'm so bored by it or anything like that. I just, like Black Rose Immortal here is 20 minutes long, and every song in this record is at least 10 minutes long. And they all, like...
Tell us how you really feel, Eric.
I didn't say anything at all. I struck
didn't
something. I
have
had to pick it up. I didn't fall asleep for a second.
But I don't know. I like the record. I like the band. I like the vibe. Like I said, I do like... I really like the prog era of the band. It is cool on the latest record that he started sneaking the death metal vocals back in. It's a good balance, I think. But these early records are cool. The production for me on this one, not as great as some of the other records, but again, there's so many good moments on here that for me, like, it just works for me. And I'll tell you what, the freaking around the 7-minute mark of, you guys are talking about To Bid You Farewell, but around the 7-minute mark of that song, holy Christ. Yeah, I think it's killer. What a great way to... I
wrote it down. I'm going to go back to that song and listen to the whole song again.
What a great way to end the record with that song. So yeah, I mean, that's my number one. I won't belabor the point. And it took me until 2024 to see them live.
Wow.
And I wish I'd seen them sooner, because they're, not only is the band great live, but they do, like, they have these interesting visuals going on behind them. Michael Agerfeld is just such a cool front man. Like, his little stories and stuff between the songs, he's like super entertaining and hilarious, like, which I think is cool. Like, it's super serious music, and then in between, he's like kind of like, like he could almost be a stand-up comedian, like some of the stuff that. And I met him earlier in the day, like when they were here for the show. I went down to the Attic record store, and he was there shopping for jazz records and stuff. So it was cool. I get to talk to him for a couple minutes, and good guy. So
Cool.
yeah,
Always
that's
good
my
to
number
hear.
one of this stack. I really enjoyed listening to it, and I'm gonna have to do an Opeth deep dive one of these days and listen to everything off.
Yeah, I was always like caught between Orchid and that album too. Orchid sometimes would be my number one. I'd always be between Morningrise or Orchid, and I need to go back and listen to Orchid again because it's been so long.
Yeah.
Blackwater Park was the one where when I listened to that one, I was like, oh, that's where I was like, oh, I think I really like these guys, and then I was able to go backwards
Yeah.
and then when Deliverance and Damnation came out, like just different sides of the band, and it was like,
Yeah.
these dudes are cool. And I got obviously got used to his when you do what you do, what he does with his voice, where you balance things out and you show the different sides. Like it's much
He does
easier,
it all
much
well.
more palatable than Danny Filth.
Oh, he's very pleasant to listen to. I think overall you could just have Opeth on in the background no matter which era it is, and it wouldn't be abrasive or anything.
You know what's funny, real quick, because we were talking about Steven Wilson and Opeth and the connection there, like between the two of them, all the talent that those guys have and the cool stuff they did outside of the project they did together, which is Storm Corrosion, which is a fucking pillow, put you to sleep. That record, man, I don't know what it is. It's like snooze time. And I love the cover art, and I want to like that record so much more than I bought that record, and I'm like, it's like I could not connect with that at all. And I love both of them. Don't listen to that one, Eric.
Yeah, audio quaaludes. I'll get my CPAP out.
Audio quaaludes, I like that.
Maybe I should listen to it. It'll help me sleep at night. I'm a terrible insomniac, so.
Listen to Force of Equilibrium.
Buckle up, fuckers, because this is why you should go back and listen to Cradle of Filth tonight, right now. Because I said so. All right, this is the first album that I picked that I'm sticking with number one. I think a lot of it is just because we've always talked about albums that just hit you at the right place at the right time, that period of your life, whatever. So I was, black metal was creeping in. Everybody was into it. I hook, line, and sinker, loved it. But Cradle of Filth stuck out to me. Same thing. Read a review. Maybe some people were talking about Principle of Evil Made Flesh. Got that. Went up. We used to have Mainstream Records was a big chain store in Wisconsin at the time, and the one in Milwaukee had like this back room they called the Metal Shop. And there was a guy in a local band that was working there, and I went to pick that up, and he's like, "Hey man, you got to come back in like a week or two. Their new one's coming out because they did the." Okay, I'll back up a little bit here. Dusk and Her Embrace was coming out in a couple of weeks. It was delayed because the original mix of that was just released in 2016. Dusk and Her Embrace, the original Sin. Well, I guess the band didn't like the mix of that at all.
That's right.
And there was like this big lawsuit between the band and Cacophonous. Yeah. So that got shelved, and they contract obligations. They put out that Vampire EP, and then they went back and re-recorded Dusk and Her Embrace, which is the one that we're all more familiar with now, and it's much more orchestral. If you listen to the original mix, the original Sin, it's definitely got much more of that black metal, real dark kind of atmosphere and sound to it. With Dusk and Her Embrace, the one that we were all holding up tonight, this one's much more orchestral, much more gothic, and even has like that romanticism sort of Dracula vibe to it, which became like that was their trajectory after that. But anyway, I absolutely fell in love with that record, and it was, for me, it was a little bit of a slight departure because everything else was so overly satanic and black metal and burning churches, and they weren't part of that whole Norway scene, but they were in the thick of it, of all that. They got their big mentions in the Lords of Chaos books and all that too. But just love the symphonic element of Dusk and Her Embrace and the way that everything weaves in and out. Yes, I will still agree with you guys as much as I really do like Danny's vocals on those first three albums. Even Cradle of the Grave is pretty good. There is a fatigue factor with that. So yes, I will give you guys that much, okay? But otherwise, I think that this album is magnificent. It takes you to that place. Kronos doing that narration part is just, the cherry on top. I love everything about it, the guitars, and then getting to see their very first North American show ever. They come walking out and they had these weird kind of like, they weren't like lasers, but they had these spinning light beams with the fog that just gave
Lasers.
it lasers. Satanists with lasers on their heads. But it just set the mood, and like they all came walking out with mouthfuls of blood, and they just started spitting on everybody that was in the front row. Of course, everybody thought that was the greatest shit ever, and then they kick right into it. But and Danny, he's not a real tall guy by any means,
He is petite.
but man, that guy commanded the stage like no other. And in between songs, he would talk like this, and then just belt out that glass shattering screams, and it was great. It was great. I love that album. Cruelty and the Beast is excellent. And then that whole band just became Danny and the Filths, and like some second rate, like
That's great.
Rob Zombie kind of. Yeah, they
Did he talk to
absolutely
Glenn
lost me.
Danzig or something?
But
Glenn
that's,
Danzig
I
seemed
think
like he was
that's what
influencing everybody.
right. I think that's where, like we were talking earlier about the whole Hot Topic, issue coming in, and they became very, I don't know, commercialized, however you want to
You
say
didn't like
it.
the
But
Midian album though?
I did not. I
Wow.
honestly have not liked much of
Shocker.
anything
It's
beyond
interesting because
that.
that is a really like you would think it'd be like mainstream, but when you actually listen to it, it's like almost like that what's that British thrash band Sabbath or
Sabbath,
Sabbath?
yeah,
Sabbath, yeah.
Sabat.
yeah,
I'm not the Japanese one, but yeah,
right.
like they have like more of a thrashier kind of vibe. Like the riffs were right up front. I was actually surprised like how the guitar tone seemed like they were like right. I don't know. It seemed like things stood out a little bit more, and I kind of liked that band. But then after that, that's when he started dismantling and just
Yeah.
turned into all these different other members, and he couldn't really hold on to anybody
He's
for a
getting
long period of
he's
time.
getting sued by like three
Yeah.
former members as we speak.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah. I
Well, then
I don't know
Stewart
if
just
it was.
died or whatever. Yeah.
Say that again, John.
The original guitarist or that second guitarist Stewart, he died like a couple years ago.
Oh,
I think so. I
He
think I
was
remember
suing
reading
him,
that.
or he was in the Nick Barker camp or whatever. And
Yeah, Nick
Did you
does
guys
not
ever
have a
see
whole
his
lot of
horror
nice
movie?
stuff to say.
which
Say
horror
again,
movie?
Eric?
Do you ever see his horror movie? It's called Cradle of Fear.
No, I have not.
I've heard of it.
I
I've
have it
never
on
seen it.
VHS.
Yeah.
And
Is it worth seeking out?
I remember I haven't had a VHS player hooked up for a while, but I remember watching it a couple times and being like, oh, okay, but that was also 25 years ago or something. So I'm gonna go watch it again now that we've been through this. But yeah,
Was
Okay,
it
check
like
that
just
out.
have shocking parts in it or something?
I don't
Is it-
remember. It was
yeah.
kind of like I think he played himself, or he played, he seems like kind of probably. I mean, I'm just gonna go on a limb and say he's probably a fairly arrogant guy. I want to say maybe his name was Danny in the movie or something, but it was like it was like he's like a vampire guy around some nightclub, and I really don't remember. It just popped into my head. I wonder if you guys have seen it. I don't know if it's
I remember
reaching
hearing
that-
about it, but
remember the advertisement where they talked about it in Metal Maniacs or something at the time.
Yeah. I've never heard of it before or after. I don't remember where I got it from. I think I might have got it from was it Patrick Rainieri, the guy that he used to do like VHS. I would buy VHSs from him online. He did like bootleg concerts, metal shows, and shit like that. But anyway, I'm talking about back on like MySpace. So
Yeah.
I might have just got it like it was like on a list of with all the death metal, all the metal concerts, and it was like
Yeah.
oh, in this movie. So because it's like just
Oh,
a black
yeah,
tape with a
yeah.
yellow label.
So yeah,
And-
so Dusk in Her Embrace. That's my number one. I got a soft spot for that one, and I love everything about that record.
Way to
the
finish on a
atmosphere.
freaking shocker. I love it.
Yeah, so good stuff. These were 5 fun albums to go back and listen to and revisit again. So good stuff.
96 was a weird year. That's
Yeah.
all I can say. It's odd.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
90s. The 90s in general have some hidden gems in there.
There's some
We'll
albums
get
for
to
every
'em.
year. There's a lot more in '96 that we
Oh,
didn't
yeah.
pick that
Oh,
are
yeah.
still pretty good. And
Yeah.
Well, there were so many bands around that time that like were really like, changing their style from, either segueing it or just jumping whole hog in. Bands like
Right.
outside of some of the ones we talked, we're talking specifically about who the hell, like Anathema, like that leap, like bands like The Gathering, and were making changes in vocalists, and their sound was progressing, and Tiamat was going from like a doom death thing to like a more Depeche Mode goth. Paradise Lost, like after Draconian Times, segued right in straight up. By the time they got to 2 records after that into Host, it's like straight Depeche Mode territory.
Satyricon got weird too after Nemesis Divina. And what came after that one? Was that
Rebel Extravaganza?
Oh yeah. You're right.
I actually saw that tour in 2000.
Yeah.
That was my second black metal show, I think. Yeah.
All right, gentlemen. I guess we will wrap up this marathon ranking table.
Oh yeah.
Cool.
You're still with us. We appreciate you. We'll be back again with another year, 5 different albums, and we'll save you a chair at
the Tantric table.
You were waiting for that one, but all right, we'll see you guys later. Thanks for tuning in.
Rock on.
Battle.